and welcome to the 8th installment of the Jonesin on a Whim podcast. More on why we opened with that song upcoming. But for this podcast, we're back to the original dynamic duo. Myself, Harold North.
And Stefan.
We're Sans Black Iron Man. He's curled up, cuddling.
It's a curled up, cuddling kind of day out there.
It's
a gray day, you know.
That week, the whole weekend.
I know.
And
yeah.
I think the week is going to be a bit like this, you know, the entire week. So, but me cleansing, this is kind of perfect that it's been a horrible backdrop outside.
True.
So, as we always start with, we have the website on the Facebook, the www.facebook.com/Jonesin on a Whim. Visit the page. I'm sure if you're listening, you've already liked it. But if you haven't, do so. Up to date with stuff we post during the week. It's not too frequent, but frequent enough to make you smile, make you laugh. Mm-hmm. And pass the word. You know, share the page with your friends if you like it. We'd love more of an audience, the support and such. I always give out the Twitter handles. Art's is Jim Avelli. Should be Black Iron Man, but whatever. Mine's Harold North with capital H, capital N. And Stefan's is
Stefan, not Steven.
All those at your Twitter, twitter.com.
That's right.
And we're still working on that sponsorship, but LeBron agreed to do it not 1, but 2 weeks. So not quite the 7 he promised, but maybe we'll get there.
Busy picking out his next T-shirt.
Exactly. Next T-shirt that.
That makes no sense.
Right. He wasn't even good enough to go to the Marlins game. I think it was last night. Neither was Wade. Battier and Champagne urine. Bosch.
Champagne
went and Battier actually threw out the first pitch.
Oh.
Over Bosch. Who wanted to? So I guess they went with seniority
or just. Who's cooler?
Right.
Because Battier's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, no,
I've seen him around town.
Yeah, I think he was voted 3rd smartest or 2nd smartest athlete by athletes.
Yeah,
so,
he's pretty sharp.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good. He started the book club with them. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty good honor. But without further ado, LeBron sponsoring Kleenex.
This is LeBron James of the Miami Heat. You know, the team I took my talents to not 1, but 2 years ago. And if you watch the NBA playoffs at all this season, you know that my eyes are never dry. For my excessive prying to officials, I always turn to Kleenex. It's always the best for drying my eyes from not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8 tears. Haha. Kleenex, the official eye napkin for LeBron James and Jonesin on a Whim.
And thanks again, LeBron, sponsoring his favorite eye napkin, our favorite eye napkin at Jonesin, Kleenex. Thanks for the support.
Suck it, Puffs Plus.
Right. We don't like the lotion on the Kleenex.
You try to clean your glasses with Puffs Plus, you know, it just turns into this, fog.
I'm sure it's a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's sponsorship. You know, we're going along with that. And as always, we go over mistakes from last week. Mm-hmm. Mistakes, unknowns, whichever. Some corrections. We have 7 this week, only because I combined 6 or 7 into one. Because it was from one segment. So
yeah. We were talking a lot about that segment.
Right, we were speculating as usual, and just a lot of it were stats that we're just not going to know offhand.
Sure.
So I'll run through these real quick. We spoke of the Thunder's contract to offer to Scott Brooks. We said it was 3 years, a little under 4. This is kind of like that. It's 3 years, $11 million, which is about that.
No, I thought they bumped it up.
Since?
To 4 and 16.
So the game is 4.
Yeah.
That ought to do it.
Okay.
All he wanted was 4 years. He liked this, but he wanted 4, so they upped the money and the years.
I forget where I read that, so we may already have another correction for next week, but we'll see.
That makes sense, or maybe that's what he was.
That may be what he wanted. Yeah.
So that we'll have that for next week, or maybe even later later today.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, which is the one we combined 6 or 7 in. It was from our top 25 rankings and that we used for the top 11 segment. And I speculated on who the original list was from that I used. It was from ESPN, and it was by Mark Schlabach. And the CNN SI writer whose list I also looked at was Andy Staples. Mm-hmm. And regarding this segment, Stefan was right that TCU never played in the Big East and have actually been sued by the Big East for $5 million.
Now we suck because you left.
Right, but pretty much. They're going to now add U of H and a slew of other...
After ditching another conference for us, you ditched us.
And before even playing.
You jerks.
Right. Before even playing.
Yeah.
So that
it was a bit tricky.
Yeah, but a better deal, and logistically makes the most sense.
Yeah, yeah. When I heard they were going to the Big East, I was like, "What?"
Right. No, the Big 12 makes total sense. Fill in for A&M.
Yeah.
Fit right in. We mentioned Marcus Lattimore's injury. Weren't sure when it was. I said it was early in the season, October 16th, so about midway through the season. Talked about Geno Smith lighting up LSU. One of the few quarterbacks I did last year. He was 38 of 65 for 463 yards and 2 touchdowns. They still lost by 30, but it's a hell of a number.
Yeah, yeah. And it wasn't like that was all garbage time. I mean,
no, it was throughout the game.
Yeah. So.
Yes, definitely. And he's back next year, so look for big things out of them. They'll be a top 15 program all year. And I couldn't remember Florida State's quarterback. His name's DJ Manuel, and he's back as well. They'll start in the top 10. Mentioned Georgia recently being preseason number 1, and it was as recently as 2008. So that's fairly recent. And I didn't remember where Zach Mettenberger had transferred to after being kicked out of Georgia. It was to Butler Community College.
Not Butler University.
Let's hear it. Is that the one? That's not the one in Texas, is it?
I don't know.
We won't talk about it.
Because then we'll have more corrections.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Slippery slope.
Yes. Number 3 on the corrections. The Sheik mentioned the pumpkin face in reference to Cyndi Lauper. Pumpkin face actually has many meanings. In the Urban Dictionary has it as a frequent fake tanner, which makes sense.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it's also a type of facial mask and scrub that is rich in vitamins A and C as well as zinc. Or just simply the carving of a face on a pumpkin. So you said pumpkin. What was it? Pumpkinhead was a movie.
Pumpkinhead was a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be even incorporated. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And he was also the Sheik in a tweet that we had he was wondering about Shane Battier, if he was the white or the black. He has a white mother and black father, which is what I guessed, and Art said that sounded right. So there you go. He's Creole. Number 4. This is more for me. Trev Falk got a job coaching high school football. He previously had a job at another school, and I thought Northside High was in the North Shore in Louisiana, like Covington, Mandeville. It's in Lafayette, where he's actually from. So
Louisiana has a North Shore?
It's what they call Covington, Mandeville, of Lake Pontchartrain.
Okay.
It's across the lake,
okay.
yeah.
Because I was like, hey, the Gulf's on the south side.
Right, right. So it's the lake, and a lot of good friends live over there, or grew up over there. And number 5, Stefan mentioned that Jimmy Fallon sucked. I can confirm that he does not. He said he sucked ass. He does not.
Did I say sucked ass?
You did. Yes. And you said it again later.
And I stood by it.
Yes. Without even us like promoting. I mean, getting you riled up.
In the face of this
provoking
correction,
you. Yeah. Without you even provoking. Being provoked, you were adamant about him sucking ass.
Yeah.
So, well, I just thought that was rude. I like the Jimmy Fallon on the Saturday Night Live and now his show, Late Night, that I don't watch, but when I do, it's funny. And he has a lot of YouTube stuff that's pretty funny from the show. So moving on, number 6, I mentioned Letterman as the longest running late night show. It's actually himself, the longest running late night host in U.S. history for 32 years, and that'll be if he plays out his new contract or works out his new contract through 2014.
Okay.
And Carson was the prior.
Because he's switched shows.
Exactly.
He's just been on.
He's switched networks.
Yeah.
He's been, I think, all 3 now. No. He started at NBC, and then now he's been at CBS for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's late night host of 32 years, and not show. And because Carson was, I guess 33 or 32, and now, maybe 32, and now if he goes, I think 32 will get him the longest, so.
Yeah.
Whichever. And finally, Stefan mentioned the Rockets picked 15th. They picked originally at this time they picked 14th and 16th.
That turned into 12th, 16th, and 18th.
And 18th, right. and to the 3 fine picks. So 10. Did they move to 10? No, the Hornets were 10.
12, yeah.
Yeah. So you were just averaging the 2.
Yeah.
Two birds, one stone.
That's what I was doing.
They're averaging out to the 15th. There we go. So that's what you meant. That's fine.
Yeah, totally.
So that's it for the mistakes. Flew through those this week. And as always, we do our 51-second segment. This week, a little backstory on that. I call New Orleans the 51st state. So 51-second segment usually lasts 2 to 3 minutes, but we try.
So it's the 175th state.
Well, yeah. But still 51. This week's story is on Jerry Sandusky being serenaded by prison inmates with Pink Floyd's song The Wall, which now explains why we opened up with that. Inmates reportedly taunted Jerry Sandusky in song last December, so it was his first stint, but he was first not convicted, but what's that term? Alleged or...
Yeah, or, well, you mean when he was...
arrested.
First arrested and held before trial?
Yeah.
When he was awaiting trial.
Right.
Yeah.
He's serving the time that will never be anywhere near make up what he's going to have to spend.
Right.
But so last December when he stayed at City's Center County Correctional Facility, Sandusky is now on suicide watch after a jury convicted him late last Friday, not this past, but the one before, of sexually abusing 10 boys over 15 years. Sandusky, 68, remained in Center County Correctional Facilities, has remained there since then. He faces more than 400 years in prison when sentenced.
I don't think he's going to last that.
No.
Maybe out in 300 on good behavior or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, he's obviously also on murder watch, right? As in,
A suicide watch, yes.
well, I mean, he's being kept apart from the general population.
He is not, they put him in what they call, held alone in a special unit reserved for sexual offenders or people with mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So the prisoners, when he came in December, at night were singing, "Hey teacher, leave those kids alone."
Yikes.
Over and over and over again. But, murder and all these crimes are acceptable, but, child rape and
it's one of their hot buttons.
Right. And I think, like, stealing or thievery they don't like either.
Oh, really?
So it's the second one that...
They don't like stealing?
I think it's one other one that's kind of ridiculous, but it's whatever. They're all, criminals. So in the end, Sandusky was convicted on 45 of 48 charges and will likely spend the rest of his life, even if he were a vampire, in prison.
Yeah.
So
even if he works out.
Right. So that's the end of that. I don't want to give much more airtime to things like that. So we'll move on to the NBA draft, which was held this past Thursday night in New Jersey, which right off the bat didn't make much sense to me, given they just stripped them of their franchise. Yeah. But whatever. Stern does what Stern does. So he even asks radio show hosts if they're still beating their wife.
So it was held in Newark.
That's right, New Jersey though.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. So again, that baffles me, but Stern does what Stern does.
Uh-huh.
So the Hornets had the first overall pick, no brainer, with Anthony Davis from Kentucky. Superstar potential being compared to Tim Duncan, like a Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett hybrid. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, if he's half that, I'll take it.
That's a success.
So, and his teammate, second to the Bobcats, Michael Gilchrist, we speculated on. We were looking at the ticker for actual fun facts that were better than, this is the first time this so-and-so team drafted so-and-so from this university. This was actually the first time 2 players from the same university were picked 1-2.
Oh.
So that I didn't use that for Stump Stefan because I thought you might have seen that by now.
No, I hadn't seen that.
I'm not going to go through all the picks, just some that are kind of pertinent to us. Dion Waiters went 4th from Syracuse, who I'm a big fan of. I think he was the most NBA-ready player. That's my opinion. A lot of people say that's too high, and then a lot of people say it's not. I think Cleveland made a nice pick there. There was several other players left on the board, obviously, for them to go with, but team him with what's their point guard? First overall pick from last year. Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty strong backcourt. And he was a sixth man at Syracuse. He may start as a six-man type for Cleveland.
Yeah, my only concern there is that he's risen a lot in people's expectations lately. You know, it's like since his college year was done, you know, when he was
he came
supposed to be mid-late first round.
He was always 15 or higher.
Yeah.
Starting.
Okay.
So I mean, it's still a big rise.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was projected going into the night 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So 4, but it was a slight surprise, but not to me, just because I'm biased. So, and I think the 5th pick it's pertinent for Rockets fans. It's pertinent for a lot of things. He's a Kansas guy too, so Sharita, big Kansas fan, went to school there. Probably the best story of the draft as far as a player and a person, with his 2 parents dying at a young age. I think he's trying to have full custody rights to his younger daughter, and best guy in the draft, best character guy, and
you're talking about Thomas Robinson,
right? Thomas Robinson, if I hadn't mentioned, and basically, with the Kings picking him at 5, squashed any chances for the Rockets jumping to that pick.
Yeah,
and
because they were not going to let go of him.
Right. That was the one guy they said if he's there, or the one realistic guy. Obviously, if Anthony Davis is there,
right?
But he was the one guy outside of Davis that they said if he's there, sorry Rockets, look at other options. So, and then Damian Lillard went to Portland. Harrison Barnes to Golden State, Terrence Ross to Toronto, and then Andre Drummond fell to Detroit, which should be, if he matches up to his expectations, even 50%, should be a good player for them. Front court with Greg Monroe, Tayshaun Prince is somehow still there, so they have a decent young nucleus to go forward with.
I emailed you his
free throw shooting stats.
That's like
20%, 25%?
29% from the line.
Shaq's even scratching his head. Wow, that's
bad.
And again, they said he was offensively inept, and wow, that takes it to even further level.
Yeah.
And then Austin Rivers to New Orleans at 10. Two good picks at 1 and 10 for them. A lot of people thought Austin Rivers was the best player in the draft to create his own shot and get to the rim, I've heard, and I still think Waiters is that guy on getting to the rim. But hey, if Rivers is better, I'll take it, obviously. And then Portland got the center out of Illinois, Myers Leonard, which we were wondering who was going to play center for them. They had a few free agents. I guess Prisbilla's still there,
right? But
upcoming, we have some news on what they're trying to do at that position as well. And then hometown team, at least my current hometown, of Houston, with their first pick, they made all these moves, moved to 12th, couldn't get any higher after Sacramento getting Robinson. They picked Jeremy Lamb out of Connecticut. Some said if he'd have left after his freshman year, it would have been a top 5 pick. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. I guess he fell off a bit last year.
Hurt his case.
But without, what's his name, in the backcourt with him. Picking the Bobcats. Best player in basketball throughout the tournament last year.
Yeah, Kemba Walker.
Yeah. I've got sober brain, so you gotta work with me.
Need more beer to remember.
Yes. So, and that's what somebody like Kemba Walker can do for you. So I'm hoping that wasn't the case. That was the root of his success. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll certainly find out. I think he'll probably be in the rotation early on if they can move Kevin Martin. And then 13, Phoenix, Kendall Marshall. Another guy who probably would have gone higher would have gone. This is a guy who benefited from going back to school. He would have been picked later last year. And
he wasn't even projected this high this year.
He was picked this high because Phoenix needs a point guard.
Yes.
And he was the best one, maybe the best one in the draft, but certainly the best one available.
He's pure.
Yes. And Phoenix needs one. It looks like Nash is done there. Mm-hmm. More on that later as well. And John Henson to Milwaukee. Maurice Harkless to Philadelphia, and then Houston picks again Royce White, who I hope in 4 or 5 years from now we say was the steal of the draft. Really like this guy. He's a top 5 pick without his anxiety disorder problems. He's a bit undersized. They list him at 6'8" here. I don't think he's quite that. I don't think he's 6'6".
But 261 pounds. I mean, that's...
No, he's since shed 30 pounds.
Oh, really?
Yes. So he's lost some weight. A lot of people have compared him to what's his name? I thought it would be on this note. Even Bill Simmons did. Chad Ford did. Anthony Mason, who played that point forward position for the Knicks forever, then went to Milwaukee, had some success, and I think that's a good comparison, and I wouldn't mind if he were that type guy. Again, I think, I'm hoping 5 years from now we say he was the steal of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tyler Zeller, 17, by Dallas, who was then traded to Cleveland. We'll get to the trades here in a bit. Houston with their final pick in the first. Terrence Jones out of Kentucky. He's a versatile player. I guess he needs to work on his offense, but I've seen him shoot. He can shoot the three and handle the ball. So I'm not sure what they mean by needing him to diversify his offensive skills.
I mean, he's a big guy. He's a power forward.
Right. And for the Rockets at 6'10", you could easily play center because they've played a 6'6" center in the past.
He might have to.
Right. Exactly. There's no one else on that roster. They're going hard after that Chicago center is a foreign guy, 7-footer.
Yeah.
He's all defense though, so just like Camby would be, if they can bring him back off the bench. But nice pick. Then flying along, Andrew Nicholson, St. Bonaventure. I think that was the highest from their school in quite some time. They're comparing him possibly to David West, who's also out of that conference playing for Xavier, which is the Atlantic 10. I guess that's why they made that comparison. And Evan Fournier to Denver. Glad he went here. First foreigner off the list. Glad he went there because
a foreigner named Fournier.
Right. Perfect. So go figure. Glad they picked him here because he was rumored to go to the Thunder at 28. So get him off the board. Thank God. Not a fan of the foreign players, if you haven't noticed.
They really didn't have much of a presence in the draft this year.
No.
They were a lot more in the second round.
Right, and they really don't have as big a presence in the league as much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as this one really a superstar, I guess Dirk.
And Paul Gasol, too.
Yeah, but superstar.
Yeah.
I guess, he was. And even if you want Gonzo, you consider Gonzo and maybe Tony Parker.
Yeah. But those guys are all veterans.
Exactly.
Point,
we need a youth movement.
Yeah.
And there's a couple.
The best
right,
one.
exactly. Yeah. And I think he's in Denver as well, isn't he? Or is he Toronto?
He's
still?
Toronto.
Okay. Denver's got a foreign guy as well.
Yeah, they got a few.
Yeah. Toronto makes sense for that. And then your Celtics went back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Sullinger, who, I mean, at this point, based on his offensive skills, it might be you kind of had to really think about it. And as much as we give Doc Rivers crap for coaching, he usually works well with developing these young guys.
And it's a big if with the health.
And I think it's a bulging disc, correct?
Is it?
I think that's what his back issue is.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the guys on ESPN kind of said discs and kind of got reamed for it, because it's hard to
I thought he said dicks.
Right. Well, that would be nice for Jared. But
it's bulging
might come in
dicks.
handy.
Multiple bulging.
So I think it's just one disc. Just one dick as well.
One dick.
But,
man, when they called him a freak, I didn't realize what they were talking about.
Right.
But yeah, he's so talented that it's kind of like you couldn't let him drop any further.
Right. And they list him at 6'9" here. I don't think he's quite that, but he plays well around the basket.
Yeah.
He's good motor. Probably should have left. And that's why it keeps being frustrating for me because these guys stay another year and they fall in the draft. So it's not a good sign for kids that also have to make that decision going forward.
Yeah.
But, he came back. They made a decent run in the tournament. So, he did what I don't think if you asked him, he'd regret it. He goes to an organization, still, if they stay intact, ready to compete for that conference again.
Yeah.
So, not a bad deal. And then the next pick, Fab Melo, from Syracuse, another Boston pick, 7-footer, great shot blocker. Rebounds, great on the offensive glass. Needs to work a little bit on his offense, but I like the guy. Again, I'm biased. He was academically ineligible, or for certain games. He's not a dumb guy. He's foreign. He just learned English 3 years ago, and he's Syracuse. It's a pretty good university. I know they do a lot of things in college basketball as far as academics go, but that would have been a glaring red flag, I think. So he probably put it together somewhat on his own.
Yeah. Like Chad Ford here, I'm not expecting a lot of offense out of him.
Right.
He's not going to become a 20-point per game guy. But,
right, and Kendrick Perkins wasn't.
They're looking for somebody, with width, and height.
And defensive presence.
Yeah, shore up the lane.
Yeah, and even if he gives you 10 minutes, and I guess Garnett will be back. He starts at center, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to his contract and his decision later. And 23rd, Atlanta took John Jenkins, from shooting guard from Vanderbilt. Surprising because I didn't think he'd be the first guy from Vanderbilt to come off the board. I didn't even think he'd be the second guy. But I think Atlanta was they need to build at that position. They have a lot of free agents going into this offseason. And Cleveland took Jared Cunningham out of Oregon State. Memphis, Tony Roten out of Washington. So that both Washington backcourt players were drafted in the first round. Memphis is also going hard after Ray Allen, by the way.
Yeah.
In Indiana, Larry Bird leaves the building, and now they're drafting Miles Plumlee, power forward Duke, who might not have been drafted at all. I guess he's a 7-footer. If he's a legitimate 7-footer, that's probably Hibbert insurance, but I think there were more talented 7-footers available.
He's a 7-footer who can jump, which is, a nice combo.
Yeah.
For rebounding a shot.
But usually those 7-footers don't jump as well.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of production there.
But sign him after the draft.
Yeah.
I don't think he was projected that high. Miami, then at 27, takes Arnett Moultrie, who's not 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". He's 6'11", out of Mississippi State. They actually traded his rights to Philadelphia. And Oklahoma City, my Thunder, 28. Possibly could be the steal of the draft. Perry Jones, he's got a lot of question marks. He's got knee issues, question about his motor. But based on physical ability, he's very, very skilled. And at 28, you had to take him. And if he does play up to his ability, he's a great pick at 28, like I said, and he should thrive in their system per Chad Ford. Yeah. So I'm excited about that because they're a team that could take this chance, this risk.
Yeah. I mean, with him, you got a big guy, you got a power forward who can actually score,
which they don't exactly
don't have right now. So yeah.
And maybe score around the goal, where Ibaka's he's around the goal defensively, but his offense is basically mid-range jumpers.
Yeah, he's another potential weapon.
Right.
And they don't need him to come in and play 38 minutes a game.
No, and rest that knee for a season. Maybe. Get you right. And Chicago, this could only be insurance because Rose is going to miss probably the majority of next year. Marquise Teague, point guard out of Kentucky. Love the pick. This is per Chad Ford. Love the pick, which it's Derrick Rose insurance.
Yep.
And he's a good player. He's a freshman, so young player. But in the NBA, there's a lot of those. So that actually contribute. And the second player from Vanderbilt, again, I didn't think he would be the second guy, but another 7-footer going, which makes sense. And it makes sense for Golden State, who are trying to. I think Mark Jackson's trying to get some kind of defensive mentality for that team. And big 7-footer on the rim. It's a decent way to start that. Festus Ezeli,
he got me.
Center out of Vanderbilt.
Festus
for the rest of us.
Festivus.
Maybe just Golden State.
Now time for the feats of strength.
Yes, so let's hope he has any at all.
And he
better be 264. That's not a bad size.
Yeah.
So it's this thick fella maybe. But then going into the second round, just to highlight a handful of these picks. 31, the Bobcats, Jeff Taylor, shooting forward, small forward out of Vandy. This is the guy I thought would have been the first guy picked from Vandy. It was their leader. They made a run in the SEC tournament, won the SEC tournament. I still can't remember how far they went in the NCAA. I thought they made a decent run. Maybe they're not as. Yeah. Maybe I'm not remembering. Maybe Sweet 16. I don't remember. And so we'll get on that. We'll figure that out. I thought they're supposed to make a run every year, and they all underachieve. So, but again, I thought he'd be the first pick from Vandy. 33, Cavaliers pick Bernard James. He's a center out of Florida State, and the relevance for him is he spent 6 years in the Air Force and 3 tours in Iraq. He's 27 years old, and he's actually been traded to the Mavs. I think the Mavs are trying to compile some guys to make a move at Dwight Howard, but more on what Dwight Howard wants in a bit.
He wants a lot.
Yes. And the Cavaliers, again, at 34, pick Jay Crowder, who I love, small forward out of Marquette. He was a beast in college. He was a beast for Marquette. He is 6'5". That's why he fell as a small forward. But I think there's a place for him. I don't know. I think he's just one of those guys that will find a fit, make a fit. And Cavaliers, that's a thin roster. It's a young roster. I think he can maybe make the rotation. He can't grow anymore, but I do love his ability. It's a guy with the dreadlocks. If he's eluding all you 7 listeners.
Yeah.
Then the Warriors picked Draymond Green, 35th out of Michigan State. Another guy I love. He another guy who could fit the defensive style that Mark Jackson's trying to bring. Great college player. He's not undersized. I'm not sure why he fell to 35, but I think that's another guy who can make some noise. Then 37, the Raptors is just still highlighting the second round. Quincy Acey, small forward out of Baylor, undersized, but he was the heart of that team.
Oh yeah,
the ball guy looked like he's about 40, but he carried them at times. Even in that last game when they were getting killed by Kentucky, he brought it to the final buzzer. Yeah. And 6'6", so certainly undersized.
Yeah, he may have a tough time in the NBA.
I think he will
because of that size.
Right.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have the all-around skills.
It won't be for lack of effort.
No, not at all.
And by the way, Vanderbilt lost in the second round. To Wisconsin.
Okay, so that was a decent. Was that a 4-5 matchup?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So that's not quite underachieving.
No.
But so that was Quincy Acey. Then 44, the Pistons took Kem English out of Missouri, shooting guard. I think this is they're hoping he'll be a replacement for Ben Gordon, who they traded last week to the Bobcats. And 76ers at 45. Justin Hamilton, center out of LSU, this was in a trade. They traded him to the Heat, and this is a guy I think the Heat, a 7-foot body that the Heat could use now.
Sure.
But the word is they're going to send him to Europe for at least a season. So we'll see how that goes. But again, LSU guy getting drafted. He wasn't on the radar at all after the end of the college season, but workouts, he kind of caught some people's attention. And Hornets at 46, Darius Miller. He was their sixth man, and I believe he'll be the sixth man for the Hornets down the line. I think he makes his roster and contributes.
He's another Kentucky guy.
Right. And then, yes, great. That's all. I think that was all 6 of their guys gone by 46.
Yeah.
Amazing. At least Calipari turns that into championships where your Roy Williams of the world cannot.
Yeah, and at least Calipari's not sitting there in front of the camera with a goofy smile on his face with
Looks like six
different team hats,
and no ring.
Right.
What a goofy bastard. 3 left. This is your Celtics, my Syracuse. Chris Joseph, small forward. To your Celtics out of my Cuse.
Yeah.
I'm biased here, but he's great athleticism, decent mid range. I think he's the ultimate tweener. I think he's 6'7", 6'8", so you put him at the 4, you put him at the 3. He's probably more of a 3 because of his mid-range ability. But they said he underachieved at Syracuse. I didn't see that. There were quarters at times where he'd score every point for them.
Right.
And I mean he's got range all the way to 3. So,
right. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's a bit of a risk, but
51.
Yeah, I mean with 51, you reach for guys, and they need to get a little more athletic.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, no, that's definitely the case. And 58, Timberwolves, Robbie Hummel. This guy was another story of the draft. He's a small forward out of Purdue. Went through two knee injuries. I think he 5 years at Purdue. They early exit in the tournament again, but he's ready to play now, and I think in Minnesota he will. His knees will hold up. If his knees hold up, but he'll get minutes right off the bat. Great shooter.
They could use him.
He's a fundamentally sound basketball player, and I think he plays immediately for them. And I think Kevin Love will love him. And finally, the final pick of the draft, Lakers took Robert Sacre, center out of the Zags. This is pertinent to us. One, Mike went to Zaga, and 2, both his parents played and starred at LSU athletically. So
Mike's parents started at
LSU. Both Robert Sacres.
Okay.
And he's got a Saints logo tattooed
on
his shoulder / upper muscle, whatever that muscle is.
The
tricep.
The tricep.
Yeah. Big old Florida League. High motor. I think he could probably crack that lineup just because they have that length, but they're trying to get rid of Gasol. trying to get rid of world peace, but I don't think
I'm not sure what the Lakers are going to look like next
I
season.
don't think that's going to happen. But and I had, So we kind of went over the trades. With the Cavaliers, got Tyler Zeller, the center out of North Carolina, who I like, but they did, as y'all alluded to, they did give up a lot to get him.
Yeah.
They sent Jared Cunningham, Bernard James, and Jay Crowder, two 33, those last two guys whom I like a lot. And they did get Kalina Azabukwe.
Azubuike? Yeah.
I don't know.
Not familiar
Crickets.
with his game, yeah.
Yeah, so Tyler Zeller is probably the most ready player out of all of those guys, so I get that. And they need a center.
Yeah, they do.
And maybe free up some. You don't pay these guys a lot, especially second rounders, but maybe that frees up some cap space for him. Not much. And I'm guessing this Kalina as a bouquet guy was on the current roster of Dallas, or they had the rights because he has the number by his name.
I see.
So he's on the roster in some capacity already. And I mentioned the Sixers and Heat transferring. Gosh, my sober brain is
Trading?
killing me. Trading or just
Swapping?
Good Lord. The rights to Arnett Moultrie out of Mississippi State and for Justin Hamilton out of LSU. And the Heat also got a first-round pick. So they got a 7-foot center and a first-round pick.
Yep, good move.
Pat Riley, you crafty bastard.
So he can be there for the and 3, or not 3? Or...
No more. Then the Pacers acquired the rights to Orlando Johnson, who was the number 36 pick from the Kings. Okay. The Nets acquired the rights to Tayshaun Taylor from Kansas, from Portland for cash as well. Nets acquired, a lot of these are for cash and people we don't know of, rights to Tonike Shingelia, whatever, number 54th pick from the Sixers for cash. And then Lakers acquired the rights to Darius Johnson Odom. I guess they always need an Odom. From the Mavericks, and the Mavericks going to rid themselves of Odoms. That was also for cash.
I don't know if I've recalled seeing this many,
trades for cash.
Second rounders. I don't know if it tells you what a second rounder's worth.
Right.
That it's really not that big of a
I
deal.
think that's what it is.
Or is this team, are these teams maneuvering to try and get under the cap?
And also, I think
trying to have the capital.
I think
to
it's
sign somebody?
roster space, because the Mavericks and Sixers have a glutton of players, under contract, whereas the Nets and Lakers, that's right, they're not gluttons. They're gluttons. Where they are gluttons. But the Nets and Lakers don't have as many. They have roster spots open. They have So maybe they bring these guys and they need bodies for camp or whatever.
Yeah, teams that didn't have a lot of picks like the Nets and the Lakers,
right? And have a lot of roster spots.
Yeah.
And finally, the biggest trade, which hasn't happened yet, but it may have last night. I don't think it has, but it's getting close, is the Mavericks have agreed to send Lamar Odom to the Clippers, who will in turn ship Darren Williams. Wait.
You mean Lamar Odom?
Right. What did I say, Darren? What did I say? I said Lamar Odom, didn't I?
Did you? Okay. Sorry.
I don't know. So the Mavericks want to send Lamar Odom to the Clippers, who in turn will ship... Oh, this is Mo Williams to the Jazz.
Okay.
And they'll send the trade exception from the Mehmet Okur deal last season to the Mavs. So who's the third? The Jazz. So the Jazz, the Mavs would get the trade exemption. The Jazz would get Mo Williams, and the Clippers would get Lamar Odom. And the hitch in this is Mo Williams needs to invoke his $8.5 million player option, which would have him signing that 1-year deal with the Jazz. Because if he doesn't invoke it, he's a free agent.
Right.
So $8.5 million, I'm not sure he'll get that anywhere else. And I've heard he's fine with playing in Utah.
Yeah.
So I think
for 1 year.
Right. And last night I think it was developing.
Even I'd spend a year in Utah for $8.5 million.
No, you wouldn't. There's no alcohol.
Oh, damn.
I don't think.
Forget it.
Right. Not a chance. But
Can
again,
I bring my own?
Right. No, that's the thing. I don't think it's allowed. Those what you call it over there? I'll get you the bearded fellas. The Amish. Is that what they are?
No. The Amish are like, Pennsylvania.
Oh God! What's the group in?
You mean the Mormons?
Mormons. I'm telling you, sober brain is.
I don't think they're known for their big beards.
They're not. They won't. That's what I'm saying. They'll get you for bringing that in. They can have 17 wives, but no alcohol.
Any Amish people listening to this podcast? What the hell are you doing? You're not supposed to like technology.
And Mormons. All of you.
Mormons, I guess they're allowed to have iPads and stuff like that. But
no. So which one was... in the Bowling movie with
Kingpin?
Randy Quaid
He was Amish.
Amish, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Great movie. Great character. So, that's it for the NBA draft. Y'all all knew all that by now, but we just wanted to give a little bit of our take on some of the picks.
Yeah.
And, 10 of these guys will be a household name in 2 years. The rest, who knows?
Will fade.
Yes. Into Europe and China and
Yeah.
the D League. So, just hopefully 3 of those are Hornets.
Hanging out with Josh Childress.
Right. Who they brought back, and then
did he disappear again?
He's in Phoenix, I think.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see Sands Nash how
Still kicking.
right Sands Nash how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Lacko Nash.
that's I hope as much crap as I've given him in the past. If he lands in New York, I wouldn't hate it.
Oh yeah.
So that's it for that segment. Now our top 11 for the week. Been a lot of NFL free agent signings over the past months. I looked at a list of the top 100. A lot of them were teams just going back to their prior teams. So
Players going back. Yeah.
yes, sober brain. Hashtags. But so we're not going to talk about those, even though some are significant. I wanted to kind of highlight the 11 that I thought, and then I'll let Stefan speak on some that he thinks that I thought were the top 11 of the most significant 11 from these 70 plus. And obviously, and these are in no order. They'll be in order of how they were ranked as free agents, but these aren't in any order as how I think they are in significance. The first one for me is probably the first one for most is Peyton Manning going from to Denver from Indianapolis. If they can win, like I've said, if they can win 8 games with Tebow, they can probably at least get 10 with Peyton. If that defense brings that same intensity that they did.
But Tebow didn't start all those games.
No, they were
Right.
1-3
With Orton. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that the schedule was kind of tough during that stretch. So I personally like Orton, and Dallas did enough to make him their backup. So, which I thought was a good move. It's not one that I have highlighted, but it might be number 12 on my 11. So Peyton to the Colts. Peyton to the Broncos. Number 1 for me. For sure. And again, these aren't in any order, but that would certainly be number 1 hands down.
I think that's everyone's number 1.
And another one, Mario Williams going from Houston to Buffalo. They've made a lot of interesting deals on the defensive side of the ball since free agency has opened.
Sure.
And I think in the draft. And he's a nice cornerstone. If he can give you 16 games, he's a freak of an athlete. Even when he's taking plays off, he still commands your attention. He's going to give you left tackle fits all day. And a great pick for a defense that needs anything. Because I think that offense is playoff ready. It's that defense that needs a lot of help. And number 3 of my top 11, Brandon Carr going from Kansas City to Dallas. Simply because Dallas' secondary was a mess. And they bring in Carr. They draft the kid out of LSU. They're trying to trade the kid out of South Florida. Again, whose name eludes me, the cornerback. They probably won't be able to. But Brandon Carr was one of the few. Well, actually, Kansas City's defense was above average last year, considering their offense was so bad. Mm-hmm. But they're trying to trade Mike Jenkins, who's the guy I was talking about. They drafted Morris Claiborne out of LSU. So the secondary, it's big upgrade. They got rid of the Kansas State guy. They cut him, who they drafted years ago, first overall. I forgot where he landed. I don't know if they traded him or he was their cornerback for years. They used to have the guys who they got rid of on the same page.
Oh, no, yeah.
It'll come to me. Kansas City guy. Kansas State corner. So they're yelling at the screen right now. It'll come to me. He also returned kicks for him for a while. He hasn't in a while, but
yeah.
So that's number 3 for me. Number 4, Carl Nix going from New Orleans to Tampa. We wanted to keep him. He'll do well in Tampa, but we didn't need to keep him because number 5 on my list, Ben Grubbs going from Baltimore to the Saints. We immediately replaced him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great move. Even if I'm not a Saints fan, I think that was a really nice top 11 free agency signing. So now on to my number 6, Brandon Lloyd from St. Louis to New England. Such a bright guy. He'll pick up that offense like Ocho Cinco couldn't. And they needed some receivers until they picked up several receivers. But I think he's the best one that they did acquire because they tagged Welker.
Right.
They brought in Jabbar Gaffney, who's another bright guy. Deion Branch has been retained. Stallworth might be the odd man out here because I love Julian Edelman, who they'll keep once Welker's gone. He'll step right into Welker's role. But I think Lloyd is absolutely perfectly cerebral for this offense. Brady's going to love him. And Welker will still have 90 catches, but I think Lloyd will have 75 plus.
Yeah, Lloyd's more of a vertical threat.
Yes.
You know, something that's pretty
He's
much
a
all
threat
the
ball.
offense was
Lacking, yes.
last year. And
I think it's a huge signing for them. And again, you need to bring some intelligence to the table at that position for that team. And he's a very bright guy.
yeah, I think that's a nice fit.
Yes. And so that was number 6. Number 7 for me is Ben Jarvis Green Ellis going from New England to Cincinnati. That's simply because they lost. They're ignoring Cedric Benson. This is a more stable guy.
Right.
He does exactly what Benson does. He's younger and hadn't fumbled in 5 years.
Ever.
So
No fumbles.
and that's what Benson did at times.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that for Cincinnati. Another great move by an up-and-coming franchise, which we thought we'd never say. And then number 8, Laurent Robinson going from Dallas to Jacksonville. They had no receivers. They signed him. They draft Blackman. All of a sudden, they have 2 pretty above-average receivers if you can keep Blackman out of the bar, obviously. But those will be your starters.
His problem's not in the bar; it's after he leaves.
Right,
the bar.
that's fair. And also, they also signed Lee Evans, which
Yeah.
I think is that's a nice 1-2-3. So, and they
Nelson.
also signed Brian Robisky, which for them is fine.
But now we'll see if Gabbert can get them the ball.
Right, and that's one of mine coming up as far as a free agent signing. That he's actually my last one that I think's significant for that exact reason. That exact guy.
I wait for
nice
bated
segue.
breath.
So number 9, yes. Number 9, Jason Campbell going from Oakland to Chicago. One, because I love Jason Campbell. I think he's very underrated, and 2, because it's hard for Cutler to stay healthy because and it's not Cutler, he's a tough SOB.
Yeah.
But that line is just a disaster coming pass blocking. So you now have a legitimate backup. There's no Cole Henney behind him or whatever his name was.
Caleb
Henney.
Yeah.
And now you have Jason Campbell, who is a legitimate starter in this league and could win you some games as a backup. So that's my number 9 significant free agent signing. And number 10, Laurent Landry goes from Washington to the Jets. This is to fill a role of Lienhard, I guess. Lienhard. He's
Leonard. Yeah. Leonard. Yeah.
Brian Leonard.
Brian Leonard. Yeah.
Yeah, but he blew out his knee again. He was the brains of that defense. He's gone. Landry's athletic specimen, physical beast. Should fill that role well. They do have others. I think they signed another safety in the offseason as well. So I'm not.
Jets did.
Yes. But maybe not. Maybe it's a strong safety. LaRon will play free safety.
Okay.
They still have Cromartie. They still have Revis. So that secondary still should be pretty nice for them blitzing at will. And my final one, the 11th, is Chad Henne, was from Miami to Jacksonville, just across the Sunshine State. Mm-hmm. And my significance there is you bringing up Gabbert. They want Gabbert to be the starter.
Right.
I like Henne a lot more than a lot of other people do. I think he could take that job. I think he could certainly use Laurent Robinson, Justin Blackman, and Lee Evans and get that offense back on track with Maurice Jones-Drews.
Yeah.
And make them relevant again.
Yeah, at this stage with Jacksonville, I kind of like giving Gabbert a bit of a push. You know, I didn't like the idea of just totally dumping him because they did invest a number 10 pick in him recently. So, yeah, I don't think it's time to give up.
Give him some sense of urgency.
Yeah, I like that.
And Henne's, like I said, I think he's above average, more than above average for me. And then with Jacksonville, so Henne goes to Jacksonville from Miami, and Garrard goes from the other way around. Henne goes from Miami to Jacksonville. Garrard goes from Jacksonville to Miami.
Yep.
Which he's pushing for the starting job there. I like Matt Moore a lot, but we'll see how that plays out. They drafted Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
So, but another one that Mike Wallace, but he's
Steelers, yeah.
He's going to be tagged, so
yeah,
probably going to go back.
That's probably a non-issue, yeah.
But any that stand out to you?
Well, just from a selfish standpoint, I was a little concerned to lose Mark Anderson from the Patriots.
Your sole pass rusher, right?
but we signed somebody, and I'm forgetting who.
Just keep going. I'll get it.
But Andre Carter is a free agent too, and he's the other pass rusher who had decent numbers. So that was a glaring weakness on the D last year, and not that the secondary was that good either, but or the linebacking crew. But they definitely addressed the linebacking issues in the draft.
Yeah.
But concerned to see pass rushers departing.
Trevor Scott out of Oakland.
That sounds familiar.
Brandon Diedrich. You signed those two guys.
Yeah.
And those are ends. Will Fork's back, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, the middle of the line is not an issue. I mean,
right.
They just clog it up.
And that Dante Hightower pick was very strong.
Yeah.
Unless you can get Ninkovich out of the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably necessary.
Yeah.
He's a nice Belichick player, but
he is.
if you can put in a talent like Dante Hightower, you do that.
Yeah. So you guys had Sean Rogers last year? Saints?
Yes, we did.
Oh.
I didn't even know he went to the Giants. I missed that.
Yeah. That's, okay.
Right. No, he played him and Broderick. No, Franklin Arroyo, or he's on here.
Okay.
They kind of Arroyo Franklin. They kind of swapped in and out.
Okay.
Who was still a free agent. I wouldn't mind bringing him back, but we signed Broderick Bronkley to fill that loss.
Okay.
Which is kind of what we did this year. We tit for tat. Like we lose someone and we bring somebody back in. Maybe not as good, but right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and San Diego let not only Vincent Jackson but Mike Tolbert go.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
But they brought in Robert Meacham and someone else.
They did bring in a running back. That's right.
Yeah, they might have drafted one. So they tit for tatted too.
Yeah.
On that. They brought in Meacham and
Not a huge.
They signed Ronnie Brown.
Okay. Yeah.
And they still have Curtis Brinkley, who played some for them last year as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because.
And they still have Jacob Hester, but they signed LeRon McLean, which fits the Tolbert role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's who we're probably thinking of.
Okay.
Because Ronnie Brown was like last week.
Yeah.
So it was recent.
Right. Yeah. Matthews was still talking about having to be the feature back.
Right. And I thought he did a great job last year.
Yeah.
With that, and once we get to the fantasy stuff upcoming,
his durability's maybe a little questionable.
He didn't miss anything last year.
He kept leaving games. You know?
Right. Well, he's a little guy.
Yeah.
So that's a fair critique.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. You know, like I said, Kyle Orton going to Dallas, which I think is a quiet upgrade at the backup. Even though I liked, whatever. I can't think anymore. The quarterback from Cincy who went there.
Kitna?
Yeah. Even though I like Kitna. Carter's still unsigned, so you could still bring him back.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though, so that's still an option. And obviously the 49ers upgraded their receiving core. They lost Josh Morgan, but they added Randy Moss. They added Mario Manningham. They drafted the kid out of Illinois. So they still have Kyle Williams. They still have Michael Crabtree, and AJ Jenkins is the kid out of Illinois, and they still have Ted Ginn. So they've gone from none to having 6 decent options. Assuming that rookie's worth a darn. I'm not sure that he is.
Mm-hmm.
But and some notable free agents still available. Real quick, I guess is Abreu Franklin is still available. He was a lineman for the Saints, defensive lineman for the Saints last year. Marcus McNeil, who's a great offensive tackle for San Diego, he's had some injury issues, but I'm assuming they'll do something to bring him back, especially since he's still available.
Yeah.
Cedric Benson for Cincinnati is still available. Andre Carter, as we said. Let's go real quick. Jake Scott, the guard from Tennessee. E.J. Henderson, not a bad middle linebacker, Minnesota. Kareem McKenzie, offensive tackle from the Giants. And
he used to be pretty good. I don't know if he's
right,
still good.
He's getting up there.
Yeah.
Shannon Crowder. He's a good linebacker. He's from Miami, but his mouth just is too much to deal with.
Yeah.
That's probably why he's still available. He's got to go to the right, like the Ravens locker room or something.
Right, yeah.
And it's really no...
You won't see him on the Patriots.
No.
Although I never thought I'd see Ochocinco on the Patriots. But.
Right. And then sucking as much as he
Yeah.
did. And then finally, Ryan Grant is still available.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got some miles there, I guess, but he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, he's had some big injuries.
I think him and the Green Bay will probably work something out. Why wouldn't you want to play there if they want you? And they behind Starks, they really don't have. They drafted Alex Green in 2011 in the third round. Brandon Sane as an undrafted free agent signing in 2011.
Yeah, I mean he's versatile enough to still be valuable in their offense.
I don't think he's coming off any major injury.
No,
this time.
no. I don't think he had one last year, but yeah, I think it was 2 years ago he missed the whole season.
Right,
like got hurt in week 1.
So I think that I think he'll be back in Green Bay. That's my gut feeling.
But they're not going to pay him like
no, he won't get
number
well,
one.
that's why he's still and running backs tend to stay out there until teams go to camp and lose one.
Right.
Cedric Benson will fill that role.
Yeah.
Ryan Grant will fill that role. I was surprised Ronnie Brown got scooped up as quickly as he did because he would fill that role. He was so bad last year for Philly. And then he got traded during the season.
Right.
To I don't even know where, but and another receiver that San Diego added, quiet signing, first day signing though, Eddie Royal, who I think filled a nice
he's not
slot
a bad player.
position,
Yeah.
return kicks for them,
and
so they did lose Vincent Jackson, Tolbert, but they tit for tatted their way into filling those roles. I think fairly well. Still have Vincent Brown, Malcolm Floyd, bring in Meacham, bring in Royal. Roscoe Parrish they got. I love Roscoe Pico from Buffalo.
Pico.
That's what I call him. So they need to do some shoring up on the defensive side. But we'll see. So that's top 11. Those are my top 11. Stefan added some interesting tidbits on ones that stood out to him. And then guys who were still available. Because there's still some quality and value still out there. And I wanted to do a quick fantasy football tease. We'll definitely touch on this week to week during the season. Given our must starts or some, I haven't really decided the format yet.
Must cut.
Must start, must sit, get rid of, burn,
Why do you
regret,
still have?
right? Kick him off your roster. And we will also talk about some fantasy stuff for each team and going forward as we start into our divisional format starting next week. But just wanted to release, ESPN released their top 300. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's just ones that kind of stood out to me as far as where they're ranked and if they've risen, if they've fallen, all since last year. And we'll go through the top 10 real quick. Aaron Foster, number 1. Ray Rice, 2. LaShawn McCoy, 3. I really have no problem with those as the top 3.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, 4. Maurice Jones-Drew, 5. Tom Brady, 6. Calvin Johnson, 7. Breeze, 8. Chris Johnson, 9, coming back up. People are starting to believe in him again after he somewhat woke up last year.
Yeah, a few good games late.
Right. Somewhat woke up.
Yeah.
And then Larry Fitzgerald, 10. That's your top 10. Really have no real problems with that. I maybe would put Drew a little higher. I'm biased, but he is coming off 5,000 plus yard season. And all his offensive weapons are back. Whereas Tom Brady's going to be dealing with some newer weapons. So, not as many. Still got Welker, still got Hernandez, still got Gronkowski back. But whatever other receivers that throw out there will be new. So, but
hopefully they'll be better
right,
than what they had.
Exactly. And a lot of people have trouble with Calvin Johnson at 7, which is fair. But he's only really had a season like last year. He's consistent, but last year was a monster year.
Yeah.
And he does, I think he's had injury issues at times, but as the top receiver, I have no problem with that. And then Larry Fitzgerald, 2nd. I'm fine with him at 10, but Skelton or Cobb, I'm not sure that, it's quarterback issues. And his numbers have suffered from that. Yeah. They really had the past 2 seasons. So
I keep having visions of him just, doing an out route and turning around and the ball sailing like 10 yards
Flying
over his head.
Because it happens once a week, if not twice.
Yeah.
It's not visions, it's reality.
What am I supposed to do?
Right. It's reality. And then going forward, just some that stood out to me. Andre Johnson at 11 for you Texans guys. That's fine. He's not healthy, but if he were, that's about where that's fine. That's fair. But with no complimentary receiver, the teams are gonna smother him. And Schaub's not even healthy yet. So
Right.
maybe he should have fallen a little bit for me, but I guess he is the third receiver on here. I'd probably have Roddy White and Greg Jennings ahead of him just because of those issues.
Yeah.
But, that's my opinion. I'm not as high on Andre Johnson as everyone else is anyway. But he does put up numbers when he's healthy. That's my biggest issue. And he drops balls. But when he's healthy, he's great. He's a freak. But no, there's a big question mark at quarterback, and there's a big question mark in his health. So, and then Gronk at 14 as your top tight end.
His new big contract.
Right. Then 21, DeMarco Murray coming off what was his injury? Because it was enough to keep him out of the remainder of the season.
Oh, it was a serious injury.
So that's a little high for me coming off whatever his injury was. But I guess with just Felix Jones behind him. I mean, they did. Who came in? Because Felix came in for him and played well. I thought there was a third guy. I guess the third guy was the dreadlocks.
No, not Barber. He was on Chicago.
He was gone. You're right.
Yeah.
He was. Okay, and he's retired since. Mm-hmm. So that's a shame.
So he ain't walking through that door.
No, well he may, but it's hard for me to believe he's done. But
yeah.
Jimmy Graham, second tight end, 22nd for my New Orleans Saints. Cam Newton. So that's a big leap for him, up to 22. That's a lot of respect. With Gronkowski 14, him at 22. That makes sense for him to be that high as well.
Yeah.
Cam Newton jumping into the third round. He's now at 23. And with his rushing stats, that makes sense as well.
Oh, yeah.
Peterson falling to 28.
Wow.
Because we're not sure what he's going to bring.
That knee injury,
Yeah. I don't think he starts the season. And if he does, it's in what capacity? I'm not sure, which is why Toby Gerhardt is as high as 90 now.
Yeah.
So that's 10th round, right? Or at the end of the 10th. Mm-hmm. So or end of the 9th. Let's start at the 10th. End of the 9th, yeah. So,
right, 9th pick. Or
10th pick of the 9th round.
9th round. There you go.
There we go. And they didn't bring anyone else in. So it's Peterson and Gerhardt and Scrubs behind them. So it's those two for the most part. And Vic at 32. I'm not sure where he normally falls, but that seemed not high enough for me, I guess.
Yeah, he's been higher in
But I guess he only gives you 10 games. So.
Right, yeah.
So you got to kind of count on that. 4th round, I guess that's fair. It's the top of the 4th round.
Yeah.
And then your first rookie, Trent Richardson, 36. I don't think that's high enough. I think they're going to give him the ball and give him the ball and give him the ball. And he's the guy who can take that load.
Yeah, obviously with Hillis out of town.
Right.
There's no one else to give it to.
No, not.
And we know the passing game. Yeah.
Right. They did bring in Whedon. So
True.
So at least he can throw downfield. They still have Monterio Hardesty, and they brought in Brandon Jackson from Green Bay. So they've got some guys, and they still have Agbanaya from the Texans, from your Longhorns of Texas.
University of Texas.
He's a good north-south runner.
Yes, he is.
So, but I expect Richardson to get the ball day one and 25 plus carries, and I'm okay with that. And so I think he should be higher. Gore at 38. They brought in some guys to run with him, including Brandon Jacobs. So that's fair, I guess. 4th round. But that's a big fall from. He was probably middle of the second, bottom second last year in a lot of drafts.
Yeah, he's got to expect a slightly reduced.
No, that's
going forward.
And they just want to have him in January.
Yeah,
which is where they still should be playing.
Yeah.
And Jordy Nelson, 39. That's a big jump for him. I don't even know if he probably wasn't drafted last year.
Yeah, probably not.
But he was the number 2 going into last year probably, and he was the number 1 for a while when Jennings went down and flourished.
Yeah.
And even when Jennings came back, was great. Donald Drive's a year older. James Jones is still inconsistent. Randall Cobb's an up and comer, but Jordy Nelson just seems to have him and Aaron Rodgers have the best chemistry as far as the receivers go on that team. Maybe they're racist. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was gonna say.
No, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Aaron Rodgers.
Jennings jumping up.
Another double white.
Throw me the ball, you racist.
Another double white check.
Double white.
So, yeah, I'm not a fan. I love Jordy Nelson just because he won a fantasy title for me last year. Well, he was part of it, big part of it. But so 39, it's a well deserved boost into his ranking. And then Roy Halou at 42. I'm scratching my head. He's the Redskins running back, so they typically do decent, but they brought Hightower back. And Halou, I guess he finished the season fairly well. But I'm thinking with Hightower's pass blocking and receiving ability, he's probably going to be the starter.
I would think so.
So Halou higher than
they know
Hightower.
somebody we don't.
Right. I mean, it is their. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's fantasy gurus. And I'm trying to find Hightower on this list. But he's got to be on here.
I don't see him.
So maybe he's hurt and I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but on this depth chart I'm looking at, he's a starter, Hightower. So that was insanely high for me, but we'll see. Romo at 45, 5th round pick. I have a problem with that as well. Coming off his best season, he's got obviously a slew of weapons around him. It doesn't matter what he does in the last 2 minutes in fantasy. It matters what he does throughout the game, and his stats are there. Austin Miles, Des Bryant. They've got the tight end and Jason Witten, the running game. They've upgraded their offensive line. 5th round pick. And it's all depending on your scoring in your league, I guess. But thought that was a bit low.
Miles Austin. Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, what did I say?
I think you said Austin Miles.
That's how I read it, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm doing the last name first.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I'm New Jersey.
Yeah.
Miles, Austin.
Green Ellis, Ben Jarvis.
Yes. But this sounds better. And then 49, which is, you could look at it in many ways. Peyton Manning, bottom of the 5th. You don't know what you're getting out of that neck. So.
No.
But at 49, I think it's a risk possibly well taken. He brought in his tight end from Indy, not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, Jacob Tammy?
Yeah, they brought him in. He's got Eric Decker, who was solid for Tebow last year. But they brought in Andre Caldwell, who wasn't bad for Cincy. Brandon Stokely's back, who's played with Manning in the past. And Demaryius Thomas, who is finally, this is his 3rd year, this is his time. And he came up late last year and in the playoffs in particular. So, got the weapons.
Denver was smart enough last year to revamp their offense midseason around Tebow.
Right.
They're certainly smart enough to revamp it around Manning.
And I think they've done
his stats.
Right.
So, yeah.
They've done a decent job.
Yeah.
I think with that. And John Fox, he's a more than above average coach. So they'll have the offense to barring he stays healthy, to go with that defense. Mm-hmm. And glaringly at 64, Phillip Rivers. As a person, I can't stand the guy. But he puts up numbers. He had one of his worst seasons last year, but as long as interceptions aren't negatives in your league, he's still produced.
Even if they're -1.
Right. So 7th round, I don't know. And it's probably, I don't know what quarterback that is.
Is that just Vincent Jackson love? Or, that
possibly, but we've already gone through the receivers. They brought in talent,
Yeah.
So that one's a head scratcher for me. Again, I don't like the guy, but I'd start him in fantasy.
Yeah.
So 75th, Stephen Ridley, first Patriot on the board, former LSU Tiger.
Well, except for Brady. But,
first running back.
Oh, running back. Yes.
And so 8th round, that's fair. They don't run the ball a lot.
No.
But they, Ben Jarvis has gotten some touchdowns over the past 2 years.
So. He's their goal line.
Right. So Ridley will fill that role. I think that's why he's this high. He'll be their Ben Jarvis Green. Yeah. Ellis from last year.
800 yards, 10 touchdowns.
Exactly.
Like that,
yeah. So. And a couple of catches. Mm-hmm. He certainly has that capability. And then speaking of San Diego receivers, this is my bias. 77, Robert Meacham, and again he was undrafted his whole career, and now he's an 8th round pick. So that's interesting. We'll see how he does with big old country boy in San Diego. Ingram to 78. This is where he should be. He was like in the 40s or something last year. He's splitting with 3 other guys. The Saints use all 4 of these guys, 8th round for this guy because he'll get the touchdowns, but like Ridley would.
Yeah.
That's fine for him. 8th round, late 8th, that's perfect. That's honest. And then Roethlisberger. I guess this is assuming Wallace doesn't come back 7 and 9.
I suppose
Because they have no running backs
right
on their roster.
He's going to have to throw for 300.
So they're going to be throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And Wallace will be on their team. They've got Antonio Brown. They've got Emmanuel Sanders. They brought in Jericho Cotchery.
They might go 7 and 9, but they're going to throw.
Right.
I mean,
and Heath Miller, and Leonard Pope at tight ends. They're built to throw.
Yeah. If I got Roethlisberger at the end of the 8th, I'd be ecstatic.
Exactly. Isaac Redmond's the only back. Rashard Mendenhall is broke.
I'd be saying, why did I draft Brady 6th? You know?
Right. Exactly. No, I mean the numbers.
Roethlisberger's here 73 picks later.
No, it happens a lot. So that one did stand out to me, and this one is a big one. 83rd, Doug Martin. So if this is happening to you, it should.
Doug Martin.
This is the...
Who the hell are you?
Right. He's the running back that Tampa picked in the first round out of Boise. And he's the highest running back for Tampa on this list. That's right, ahead of LeGarrette Blount. And they see, I guess, fantasy gurus see him as going to be their every down back. I'm not sure that that's going to be the case. LeGarrette Blount's at 121, which is the 13th round, which for me would be a steal. Nobody in the NFL plays better with a chip on their shoulder than LeGarrette Blount, and that's Doug Martin's a pretty sizable chip on his shoulder.
Right.
So given the carries, I think Blount's gonna bust it. Martin will get he'll get the receptions out of the backfield. He reminds me of a Ryan Matthews, undersized, fast guy, but can give you durability at times. I mean, he'll give them what they need. It's a nice 1-2 punch. I think LeGarrette... Right.
Nice. I like that nickname.
I was going to...
LeBlunt.
Yes. He's going to put blunt force trauma on people in this league. And he already doesn't like Boise State, as we saw in Oregon when they got that fight on the Thursday night game.
He's not a big fan.
So
he and Martin...
Doug Martin, look out.
Together in the locker room.
Right. Look over your back. Look over your shoulder.
Hey, you remember that time?
Exactly. So that'd be a fun mix going into the training camp in a month and then during the season.
Yeah, only in real life.
Right. And this one stood out to me. I think he's not even the 3rd tight end overall. His yardage fell off last year, but his touchdowns didn't. Jermichael Finley at 87th. If you can get him in the 9th round, kiss your mama. That's a nice.
Yeah.
You'll take him and start him every week, and you just forget about it. Because I see there's Gates in the 6th there, Witten in the 7th. So he's Vernon Davis in the 5th or in the 6th, 7th. First pick in the 7th.
Okay. Yeah.
With all those guys ahead of him.
Yeah.
And all those guys probably had better seasons yardage-wise than him last year, but
probably so.
He got touchdowns.
Yeah.
Every week. I mean, in some weeks 2. So I guess it was either 0 or 2 or 3 touchdowns. But
yeah, I'd probably rather have Finley over Davis.
Right. Who's to say he's going to do it again?
Yeah.
And now they got all those receivers. His role will be reduced somewhat, hopefully. And then I mentioned Gerhardt. Lance Moore, another guy, the 10th round pick, who at 91, who was probably not, he hadn't been drafted yet. Like a Meacham, who their roles have significantly been increased. Lance Moore now, when he's healthy, he always plays a big role in our offense. So, 93, the other tight end in New England, 10th round. He's gonna be picked higher than that, I think.
Yeah,
he gets yards.
He does.
Gronk, Gronk obviously got the yards too, but he gets the touchdowns.
Right.
Hernandez probably led them in receiving a handful of times last year in games. Maybe
I don't know.
Obviously, Walker gets his 8 catches, but rarely it's like 90 yards. Mm-hmm. So Aaron Hernandez was their deep threat last year. Deion Branch at times, but
yeah.
And then, so at 93, 10th round, I think he should be a little bit higher. And then the first rookie quarterback, 101, not who you think. Or maybe who you think. It's not Luck, it's Griffin. Mm-hmm. That's an 11th round for Griffin. Great. Look at who you picked as your starter. Look at your bye week. If the Redskins are playing, Cleveland or something, which they actually have a decent defense.
I really hope that team doesn't screw him up.
I know, I do too. But he's gonna run. He's gonna run at times. He's gonna give you the rushing yards. I think they put a decent group around him. Obviously, better than what Luck has around him. So I mean, we went over the running backs, but they brought in Pierre Garçon, which I'm not sure about that guy. Santana Moss is still there, whom I love. Josh Morgan they brought over from San Francisco, and this Leonard Hankerson guy who's on this list. I've never heard of him. He played. He finished the season for him, like the last 3 or 4 games. I've never heard of the guy. He was a 3rd round pick in 2011. I have no idea who this guy is.
Does not ring a bell.
And he's 139th on these fantasy rankings, and he's out of Miami, so they tend to put receivers into the league. So maybe he just fell far past my radar. He's 6'1", 209, same birthday as me. No, it was updated on my birthday.
Oh.
Never mind. So, she sucks. Moving on.
I thought that was a national holiday.
Right, it should be.
Why should he be working?
You're right. Next, moving on. 103, Reggie Wayne. Boy, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh, man.
You think that's an Andrew Luck thing or a no other receiver on the roster thing?
Maybe both.
Because I think even Dallas Clark, didn't he retire or he's considering retiring?
He's gone. Yeah, I don't think he's been picked up by anybody.
No, because I think he's considering retiring.
Yeah.
So they have Austin Collie. That's not horrible. Mm-hmm. Donnie Avery gets another shot.
Oh.
U of H product who started with the Rams.
Right.
Played last year in Tennessee. Quan Cosby still in the league.
Good old Quan.
out of Texas.
UT, yeah.
Tight end. They drafted Dwayne Allen and obviously Kobe Fleener. They've already moved their offense, as we mentioned in past podcasts, to a 2 tight end offense, which is what Luck is run in the past and most comfortable in.
Right, but do they have 2 tight ends?
They do. They drafted both of them. Kobe
okay.
Fleener and the Dwayne Allen kid out of Clemson, they were the 2 of the top. Well, Fleener was the top,
right,
and then Allen was one of the top 3 or 4 tight ends.
That's a lot of rookies in central roles in your offense.
That's why Luck is 138 and Griffin's 101.
Yeah.
on this list.
Yeah, but Fitzpatrick's 137.
That's why it's highlighted. that should be that stood out to me. They.
No love for the Fitzpatrick.
I don't understand that. He didn't have a horrible year by any means. Their offense was always playing from behind, so they knew they were passing the football.
Right.
They have Donald Jones, Stevie Johnson, Marcus Easley. They signed Derek Hagan, whom I've always loved. Those are their receivers. Easley, I'm not sure who that is, but I don't understand. They've got Freddie Jackson, C.J. Spiller. They brought in Tashard Choice. The weapons are there. Like I said, this offense is playoff ready. Chandler scored 10 touchdowns last year at tight end and gave them a nice goal red zone presence. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if you can get Fitzpatrick in the 14th round, and that's what a lot of people did last year and started him for a lot of the year. And he was great the first month and a half, and then he started losing receivers. They couldn't stay healthy. So I guess last year's numbers are wise there, but still, I'm with you. That's low.
For reasons like that, I mean, why I've kind of bounced back and forth between this draft strategy and fantasy. One is, if I'm drafting early enough, go get the superstar quarterback. Go get the Brady or Rodgers or Breeze. And the other school of thought is don't draft one until like the 8th or 9th round because you're going to have value like Roethlisberger and Fitzpatrick out.
Right, and I'll give you my advice there. Take one of those 3.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get 4,800 yards at the least.
Yeah.
They're going to get touchdowns, and you don't have to worry about it. You're not gonna,
That's true.
When you draft these 2 guys, you're playing matchups each week. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
And they score the most points, and now, these days, with the numbers they're putting up, it's not like 100 points more. It's significantly more.
It's pretty obscene.
So, I had Drew last year, and, I mean, it was nice to finally have that consistency every week. A bad game for them is 260, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Right.
That's a bad game. That's my opinion. I mean, there's so many running backs now, and everybody plays 2 of them.
Right.
That it's not that running back draft anymore for me, in my opinion. I don't play anymore, and last year wasn't even my team.
No, I remember the days when running backs were the first 10 picks.
Right, and they still kind of are.
Yeah.
But now you're getting Rodgers and
They're
Brady.
still very important. Yeah.
Rodgers, Brady, and Breeze are now in there because they're scoring so many points. Even your point per 25, your 4 per touchdown, they're still scoring 100 points more than everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's my take on that, and we'll go into that more each week. each week when we go into the division. And then finally, I guess we'll do some kind of fake fantasy draft or something, which we'll do offline and just share our results or something. That'll be fun. But first defense off the board, 109, 11th. So that's 11th round. That's the 49ers. Interesting. They led the league in turnovers last year, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and you couldn't score on them either.
Right. Well, the Saints could, but they also got 4 turnovers out of it.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So there you go. And Justin Blackmon, I think that's the first rookie receiver, and it should be. At 113, that's 12th round. That's probably big time value if you can keep him out of the bar, or keep him out of his car after the bar. I love the guy, and with now Laurent Robinson on the other side and Lee Evans in the slot, that he's got other weapons around him. So
yeah, I mean, odds are he's going to be producing like a 12th rounder, but every so often you get that rookie wide receiver who produces like a 3rd rounder. So
exactly,
yeah.
So yeah, it's
he could be that guy.
I would bump him a couple rounds, but not not.
Yeah, we're still talking about Jacksonville here.
Exactly.
We don't want to get
and
too
we don't
excited.
know if it's Gabbard or Henne, which
Right.
I said I liked Henne more than most, but I don't want him. I wouldn't want him as my starter if I didn't have to. I could probably live with it. And then the Texans' second defense off the board at 114. That's fair. They had a great year last year. Brought back everyone but Mario, which is a big but they played most of the year without
And
Mario.
Ryan's is gone too.
Yeah, whatever. They got Brady James.
I have his jersey. I had to say.
I know. Well, get a Brady James because he's the shit.
Yeah.
That's the same guy, but one that's suited to this defense.
Yes,
and
of
he's
course.
played in this defense for years.
No, I recognize it.
Yeah.
Ryan's was not a fit anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's a great player, in my opinion. But he'll do well in Philly. And I think this is the second rookie receiver off the board. And he wasn't the second one drafted, but an LSU guy. So I love him. Ruben Randall for the Giants. And it's not like the Giants are struggling for receivers.
They did lose Manningham.
They did, but that just means...
And Manningham's ranked lower than Randall.
Exactly.
128.
Right. Well, they do have... They obviously have Victor Cruz and Akeem Nicks. Dominic Hickson comes back off injury, whom I love. And then Randall, because they have Ramses Barden and Jarrell Jernigan also on here, and I've never heard of either of them. They were 3rd-round picks in 2009 and 2011. But again, I'm not sure. So Ray Rubin is going to be their third guy, because Hickson's more a kick and punt returner. Smaller guy. But props to Rubin. Love it. Then the Laurent Robinson, as I mentioned in the free agencies, at 118. LeGarrette Blount, who I mentioned earlier, 121. Bears, the 3rd defense. Okay. They're at 124. Owen Daniels for you Texans fans. He's at 134. 14th round pick. That's value for me. I think he's...
Oh, hell yeah.
Especially with, what's his name? Dreesen gone, right?
Yeah, when Daniels is healthy,
He's elite, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He gets downfield. He was these guys that are now flourishing the Gronks before they were.
Oh, like 10 or 12 NFL teams in the offseason were like, how can we make the tight end a weapon like that?
No
like
doubt.
the Saints
At
and
least.
the Patriots are
right.
doing.
Yeah. And go find a basketball player and say,
exactly.
Go get a monster and with those kind of foot skills.
Owen Daniels already is.
Right,
so, yeah.
exactly. And then this Randy Moss, 14th round, 135. It's a risk, but at 14th, it's worth the it's a reward that's could be a reward worth that risk
for that last pick of the draft,
right?
Type thing. Like, I'll take Randy.
And he'll get overdrafted, that he'll come out in preseason, show us a couple highlight reel type plays.
Yeah, somebody will grab him in the 6th,
right? And maybe he ends up being worth that.
Yeah.
So, 14th round, 135, Randy Moss. Alluded to Luck being after Griffin. He's 138, 14th. For me, I wouldn't touch him until I saw something out of him.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Nope.
I think he will be great, but there's just not enough around him, enough experience around him.
Too many good quarterbacks out there.
Right.
If you're in a 10-man league.
Right. No, and you only need to start one and then one on a bye week.
Right. So is he a top 20 quarterback right off the bat? No, I don't think so.
No. So I agree completely there, and I'm not even sure what the quarterback number he was. As far as usually it's just 10 teams. So if everybody drafts a backup, he was the 24th quarterback.
Yeah,
but that's Fitzpatrick as the 23rd. This is Matt Flynn ahead of Fitzpatrick at 22, who hasn't even been named the starter.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford ahead of him at 21. Joe Flacco at 19, which I don't think's fair.
Yeah, that's pretty low for him.
Carson Palmer at 20.
Well, he deserves that.
I'd take Fitzpatrick over all these guys.
Yeah.
Maybe not Flacco, but
Flacco's
right around
good.
that time. I mean, wow. Interesting. And then that Leonard Hankerson fella I mentioned earlier, receiver out of Washington, 139th overall, the 51st receiver. Never heard of him, but they see something out of him.
Don't know him, yeah.
And then finally...
Maybe we'll be talking about him in about 4
Right,
months.
exactly,
Like,
maybe.
that Hankerson, oh my God.
He's a monster. He just passed Ted Monster's receiving record.
And I called it right here on the podcast.
Right,
4
exactly.
months
Yeah,
ago.
you heard it here first. And
Crazy prediction of the
Right.
year. Number 1, Leonard Hankerson. 16 touchdowns.
that would be an impressive feat. Mm-hmm. And finally, just highlighting these top. I guess we got the 141. Didn't go through all of them, but Kevin Smith, who had a solid last 8 weeks or 6 weeks for Detroit last year.
Oh, that Kevin Smith.
Brought
yes.
him off the sofa.
Yeah.
And just had a hell of a stretch. Played well in the playoff game against the Saints, I believe. Actually, that was all Calvin Johnson. But I don't understand this. Obviously, the little fella, Javid Best, will be healthy. But
As healthy as he can be.
right, but he's still not a between the tackles guy, you know.
Right, and with the concussions and the increased focus on that as a a medical issue for players,
It's a real issue.
they're
Yeah.
not going to let him go out there if there's any question.
Right. So, and they did draft Mikel LaShore out of Illinois in the second round in 2011, and they do have Keelan Williams, who played well for them down the stretch as well, and that's an LSU guy. So, but what Kevin Smith did last year, he was another mid-season story.
Keelan Williams, the guy who deflowered Mike Shanahan's wife. And then,
Apparently. I mean, he did something. Because we're still baffled as to how he wasn't able to crack that pathetic group. Well, I guess Roy Halou is now the 42nd best fantasy player.
yeah, go figure. Yeah, Shanahan's probably read that and he's like, oh crap, now I got to sit Roy Halou.
Right. I got to screw with everybody's minds. And Super Smurf at 43, Darren Sproles.
Of course.
And in points per reception, that's fair.
Oh, grab him.
That's yeah. So in regular leagues, regular formats, he's probably an 8th, 9th round pick. But points per reception, 43rd is very fair.
Yeah.
So that's just a highlight. I don't know if you saw any other ones that stood out to you, but just wanted to go over.
I noticed you skipped over. Let's see. Adai was number 100.
Oh, really? Well, and he's and I knew he was right behind Ridley.
Yeah. I mean, I still think Ridley will get the lion's share of the carries. But as we discovered last Thursday night, Adai's not as old as we thought.
No, yeah, 6 seasons.
Right.
Jesus.
So it feels like it's been so much longer.
It really does.
Yeah. Speaking of falling, Sidney Rice, 98.
Well, they don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
Is he ever healthy? And Seneca's the best receiver these days for them. So.
And Deshaun Jackson, 71.
Wow, I did. Yeah, that should have been highlighted. 71. Wow. I guess they think he got paid. Now he's going to go away.
Yeah, is he going to just kind of mail it in? Because.
Doug Baldwin changed his number to 89.
Oh, no.
He's no longer Seneca.
Oh, damn it.
Bastard.
Well, somebody's got to get 15 then.
Oh, I guess Flynn did. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Son of
Well,
a
that was
pig.
nice of him.
Yeah.
But he looks nothing like Seneca Wallace.
No, that's... Wow, he's still Seneca. You haven't shaped the nickname, buddy.
Yeah. And is Kenny Britt healthy? He's 74.
It's a big injury.
He's still an if. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he had it fairly. It was like the third week, so
yeah.
I know that's a season-long thing, but
right. It's been almost a calendar year.
Yeah,
I guess.
So,
but still.
Yeah.
If it's a bad enough injury, that could.
Well, that's why Nate Washington's fairly.
He's pretty high.
I mean, he's high. Yeah, 125. I guess it's higher than he normally.
Yeah.
He goes undrafted fairly often.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that covers it well.
And then that. And like I said, we'll be touching on that every week, and delving into more specifically divisionally starting next week as we go through each division.
Oh yes, we will delve
Deep
delving. If we're gonna get this detailed on July 1st, then, man, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Right. So the other segment, this is our kind of the. I don't know if we really don't number them, but it's fifth on this list. Entertainment news. I'll run through these two real quick. It's news. It's entertaining to us. It's not always entertainment. This week it's half that, half debauchery. Roseanne Barr will be roasted by Comedy Central coming up in the next...
If only it was a real roast.
Right. That's a good pig.
She's great with barbecue sauce.
I'm sure. We could
Roseanne Barr.
rump roast.
Roseanne Barr.
Pork belly. There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of pork belly.
But, you know, Comedy Central does their Comedy Central roast series.
Which are pretty good.
They are. If you get the right group of people to roast them. And,
Yeah.
And her roast will air on August 4th. Well, actually, it will take place on August 4th.
Ah.
And will air on August 12th.
After 8 days of furious editing and bleeping.
Exactly. A lot of bleeps. Actually, I think they do a disclaimer and just let them go.
Yeah.
And air it later in the night.
If you see it, I think late on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's
Comedy
all...
Central,
they don't
will
bleep
do,
anything.
unedited
All the
stuff.
South Parks. And,
Yeah, roast South Park and movies.
Right. And then the head of original programming, Comedy Central, sarcastically said that he hoped the roast would be entertaining despite Barr's low-key personality and history. Barr played along by saying, "All I can say is good luck finding anything about me to make fun of." And she deadpanned, "I mean, I've never made a mistake or offended anyone in my life."
Well, they're going to have to unearth probably some, comedians haven't been doing much lately because she hasn't been doing much lately.
Because she was on the circuit back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe...
yeah, she started in stand-up, right?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, there was an older woman. She was actually on... Did you see Anger Management at all?
No.
An older woman who was a stand-up comic back when she was, and she had her own show on ABC back in the day. She was an alcoholic at times.
Brett Butler?
Yeah, I bet they'd take her up.
Yeah,
but she's available. She's on Anger
like a really low voice.
Right, yeah. She's funny, and she could get raw, I'm sure, on Roseanne.
Oh, yeah.
And you're right. It'd be interesting to see who that panel is, because Sheen's was pretty wide span.
It was
pretty interesting. A group.
They even brought up Mike Tyson.
Right.
And let him
speak
at the podium.
A little more on Mike Tyson in a bit. But and more importantly, on Roseanne Barr in the news recently, she's set to be on a new show back on television. It was it's a sitcom that was picked up by NBC, and it's called Downwardly Mobile. And even cooler on this for you Roseanne fans from the show that was on when we were kids. Well, when we were kids, I'm not sure about Stefan.
But kiddish.
No, you were a kid. It's not that much difference. But John Goodman will also be on this show. So they're reuniting on this show. They're not set to play a couple initially. But Roseanne will be playing the role of the owner of a trailer park, which she should do glowingly.
Oh, yeah. That's a real reach for her.
Right. And John will be co-starring as her friend in one of the grounds workers.
Okay.
So, this is a little Roseanne news for you. And the other story we have...
Do we know what it's going to be called?
Downwardly Mobile.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I guess it's a mobile home park, downwardly. I don't know.
They didn't want to call it
it's a pun somewhere.
700 pounds of squawking.
Right. Which just covers Roseanne. But T.O.'s back in the news, unfortunately. And he got in a bit of a Skype sexual relationship with a woman who then turned around and she snapped a few action shots while they were doing this, and now she's trying to sell them. First of all, I'm not sure anyone's going to buy this.
Can you take stills when you're Skyping with
I guess.
people?
Or maybe she just... I guess she can.
Yeah.
The woman snapped a few action shots.
Show me your junk.
Well, he was apparently playing with himself, so he was punching the clown, tickling the critter, whatever, however you want to, however you want to put it. But she decided these pictures would probably be worth something. No offers have been,
because everybody wants more TO news.
Hey, and more TO bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But yes, so hopefully those don't ever surface.
Yep.
But in the news again and again for the wrong reasons.
Bury him in Roswell and
Right. It's horrible. But on to the Twitter segment, which quick chic tweets as always. Combined some because he went off on Nick Swisher. I guess Nick Swisher, if Art were here, I could ask him. I guess he was on Raw this past
really?
Monday.
Okay.
So he just goes off on him. The Raw is the real. The Nick Swisher looked like the jabroni Teen Wolf. My dick 10 times bigger than the Nick Swisher. New generation punk is the Nick Swisher. If I see him, I beat the living F out of him. Make him respect the legend. No good, son of a B. I guess maybe he was a good guy on the show.
Maybe so. Yeah, I obviously missed the Raw, and we miss Art for this one.
Right.
Definitely,
Nick Swisher's wife is.
But yeah, for those who don't know, Nick Swisher is the right fielder on the Yankees.
Right, and he was his most talented in his days with the A's, right?
Yeah.
As they all do, they get good with the A's and then they go to the Yankees.
Exactly.
It's like a farm club.
Yeah. The list is lengthy.
Yes, and his wife, he's married to. She was on Reba. We actually, when my wife and I went up to the Ohio State.
The Ohio State University.
Yes, Michigan game a couple years ago. She was in the hotel room where we were, and her name is. Why don't they have her name on here?
Father.
Wife is who he dated.
Didn't date his dad.
No, that's But I'll dig it up. She's very, very cute. But go figure. So more Chic tweets. This is for the 3-year anniversary of Michael Jackson, I guess. Today the Michael Jackson died, which it was 3 years ago today.
Yes.
I said. He's the best ever. He not like that no good piece of shit mother effer Mel Gibson. He gets all sweet and then
I thought we were going back to Swisher
dark,
again.
Yeah,
that.
No, right. No. He's always got to get the Mel Gibson love in.
Yeah.
And this is a good one for all of us. Dear Cancer, go F yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we say. That's very fitting. We all agree.
Yes.
More Raw talk from the Sheik. Who watched Raw tonight? If not, go F yourself. Worse than the Jerry Sandusky in the prison shower.
Uh-oh.
Hashtag WWE. Hashtag Team Sheiky. More on Sandusky. Jerry Sandusky get F for breakfast old country way. WrestleMania, I put me in the Sandusky in ring, beat the living F out of him till he become dog shit forever like the O.J. Simpson. So, as the rest of us, not a fan of the Sandusky.
He likes the comparisons. He always brings it back around to somebody, there's kind of
OJ,
this
Mel,
core group that he hates.
Right. It's always the same 4 or 5 fellas, but they're all worthy. But now it'll be like the Sandusky, probably going forward. He'll get in that ring of dishonor. And more from the Sheik. Euro Cup, good sport. Good real sport, not like the bullshit curling. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Curling's pretty much bullshit.
Curling's pretty lame.
Yeah. So that's all from the Sheik this week. And this was one from Chad Ford on the draft. The Rockets should get an A for effort, but did nothing to improve a meddling team.
Middling.
Middling.
Yeah.
Middling, yes. Meddling too.
Meddling.
That's they both say.
Somebody's meddling with
right.
Mario.
This is another right. This is another fun fact. 60% of former NBA players and 78% of NFL athletes go bankrupt within a few years of retirement.
And that's not shocking. I mean, remember that, a lot of these players are not playing for long.
No.
A year or two, and then somebody better comes along. They were just making the team.
Right.
So they never made that much money. They didn't get a proper education probably, and didn't have a backup plan.
Correct. No, that's right, and that was from Wild Facts of Life at the Twitter feed. That have some good stuff.
I'm hopeful that the ones that make like $100 million in salary over their careers
and I think
are still not going bankrupt.
Right, and I think a lot of these guys are surrounding themselves with people they trust, which is hard to find. Or maybe they're just getting smart on their own.
Yeah.
And setting the money aside and preparing themselves for life after. And a lot of them get jobs in the sport that they're in.
Yeah, there was a scandal about 15 years ago, maybe. This guy named Tank Black.
Yeah.
He was kind of like financial manager for the NBA stars.
Yeah, I think he might be a New Orleans guy.
Yeah, and yes, he is a black guy.
Right.
And he had this credibility with all these NBA players. Yeah, they're like, hey, invest your money with this guy, he'll take care of it. And he was robbing them blind.
I know Ricky Williams' first deal was Master P, but no, that's Tank. Yeah. He was. I think he's a New Orleans guy.
Yeah.
But Swisher's wife is Joanna Garcia. And the Garcia threw me off because she doesn't look Mexican. But she's pretty hot.
Neither does Jeff Garcia.
Right. No, true. He doesn't look like much of anything. But a decent quarterback.
Oh.
And this week we're combining the Twitter segment with the tribute segment because our tribute this week actually involves some tweets. So this past Thursday, June 28th, 1997 was when it occurred. This past Thursday was June 28th, was the the 15-year anniversary of when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off. And the two have since gone on Oprah, I think in 2009. And
oh, they're cool.
yeah, they hugged it out, whatever. So they're fun about it. And so for the 15th anniversary, they did a Twitter advertisement for Holyfield's new barbecue sauce. And Tyson tweeted, "At Holyfield's ear would have been much better with this new barbecue sauce. Check it out, realdealbarbecuesauce.com, #TGIF.
Also cooked.
Right, yes. And they tweeted this on Friday. The 15-year was Thursday. And Holyfield tweeted back, "My realdealbbqsauce.com will make you want to take a bite out of someone's ear. Ask at Mike Tyson, love you, bro." So that's a tribute, 15-year anniversary of the ear biting, which is always... It's better than... I was going to go with the Michael Jackson 3-year anniversary of his death, which was last Monday, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll have him sing us out this week.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tyson ear biting fight was I think that was the last boxing match that I actually paid pay-per-view for.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think I did one of the... I bought the Tyson, the later Tyson and Lennox Lewis.
Okay.
When Lennox just stood there and just used his reach and just kept
obviously
beating.
I didn't see it, but
No,
yeah.
right. Now on to our favorite segment, your favorite segment.
Not
I
me
know.
looking here.
I still haven't figured out. I'll walk through this one, but it's the Stump Stefan segment.
Ah, yes.
And we have this week's categories are NHL hockey,
Oh, great.
College World Series,
Ah.
and the NBA first overall pick.
Ah. All right. Let's start with the College World Series.
College World Series.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little baseball action here.
Let me read. Okay. Okay. There's just one in this category, which is usually what we have.
Okay.
South Carolina, right? They won 2 in a row.
Yes.
They were the first team to do that since this team, who won 3 in a row back in the 1970s.
70s. 3 in a row. There's some suspects there. I don't think Miami had come to prominence yet. Man. There's some strong programs out there that any of them could have done it.
I think that they won one last, maybe early 2000s. They played in one, maybe late 90s.
Yeah.
I think they played in the finals against another team from this conference.
Is it USC?
It is.
Hey!
Took us some time. But
Yeah. The hint kind of helped.
Did it? I think they played Stanford or Arizona or something.
Actually, I was at
Was it a state?
in the late 90s, 97, 98. I was at that World Series
Oh,
where
really?
they beat
Arizona State?
in the championship game, 21-14.
Right, that's how it was memorable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why. Yeah, that's. I thought so because I think we were there and we didn't make the final. We were definitely there.
You were there.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, I remember from that game, future Houston Astro Morgan Ensberg
For
was
USC.
the third baseman for USC. He
Yeah.
stole home.
Wow. Well, that wasn't a winning run, but
Right. Yeah. It was.
all right. So still the streak continues.
All right.
Got at least one. All right, NHL hockey or NBA draft?
NBA draft.
Okay, NBA draft. Who was the last? And I have a couple of these. Who was the last Kentucky player selected first overall?
Anthony Davis. Oh no. Oh, you mean before?
Prior, yes.
Prior to Anthony Davis.
And don't overthink it.
Oh. Okay. Who the hell else went there? I'm drawing a blank. I got a lot of decent players, but
recent.
Oh, that probably explains why I don't know it. It wasn't that recent.
Yeah, it can.
Oh, John Wall.
There you go. Right.
Oh, jeez. I
figured you'd get it either really quickly or...
I started off with, like, Antoine Walker. I'm like, wait a minute. No.
Right. No, it's... I can't find my... Like, that's right one. But, yeah, that's not it.
Dun, dun. John Wall.
Right, yeah.
Great punchline.
And this one... This is another... Because it's been a decent amount of time. Who was the last high school player taken first overall?
Ooh.
And there's some relevancy here.
First high school player taken first overall.
No, the last.
Last, sorry. Yes.
There's some relevancy.
Oh, okay. Well, we know LeBron was, but that was 9 years ago. Relevancy. Man.
He's in the news big time right now.
Oh.
He's the talk of the NBA right now.
The talk of the NBA?
Right now.
Garnett?
No.
No?
Like, who's everybody's talking about him.
Other than LeBron?
Right. He's now the talk. Post-draft. But pre-draft and post-draft.
Oh, Dwight Howard.
There you go.
All right. Thank you.
All right, I'll just...
I was like...
these are harder, so I'll just give the answers to these.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
The last SEC non-Kentucky player drafted first overall.
A non-Kentucky player?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
92.
Haslam wasn't first.
Think of me.
Think of you.
Right.
North.
No.
Oh, Shaq?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And who was the last foreign player? And you mentioned this guy earlier. Last foreign player selected first overall.
It wasn't Darko.
No, we talked. You mentioned him earlier.
Oh, Bargnani?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2006.
Okay.
Now, hockey is the last one.
Yeah, let's do that.
You know? So do you know the four people that were inducted this week to the Hall of Fame?
No.
Okay.
That was the question?
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Oh.
But I can. If you did, it would be easy.
No, I didn't know.
Okay. Joe Sakic.
Okay.
Adam Oates, Matt Sundin, and Pavel Bure. So there was 5.
Okay.
So, you saw that Adam Oates got a new job this week?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Well, then I won't ask that. He was named the coach of the Washington Capitals.
Oh, okay. Well, they got rid of Hunter, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Do you know the first European drafted first overall?
In the NHL?
Yeah.
First European drafted first overall.
I don't have a year.
Was it Jaromir Jagr?
No.
Yeah.
It's Borje Salming.
Who?
Right. He's a Canadian.
Borje
Salming.
Yeah, no. That
Sundin was the second.
Sundin,
in the Hall.
Oh, okay.
In the Hall, but this was the first guy. He was the first European drafted first.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's...
And then the Bure was known as the Russian Rocket.
Yes, I remember him.
I didn't have any questions. I figured. I don't know if you'd read anything.
No, I hadn't. Been kind of staying away from the hockey news, lately.
Right. Well, it was, it's relevant, I guess, with the Hall of Fame.
All right.
And then this week we don't have a state of the art because we have no art. So this is a new segment that I'm trying to do because I kind of put everything together by Wednesday, and a lot of things happen between Wednesday and now. So maybe like a quick hits, a Whim hits segment we'll go over a handful of things just real quickly because we're up against it. But not that we're as it's set. But,
Right. Not that there's a time limit here.
but there's a lot of interesting things that have happened, but mainly in the last 2 days. But so it's quick hits or whim hits. Haven't decided that. But with the NBA free agency, it opened at midnight last night, but deals can't be signed until the 11th.
Okay.
So in this year's class, it's Darren Williams, Steve Nash, Ray Allen, I guess Hibbert, and
Yep.
just names like that. Not some big names. A lot of these guys are just names. Other than I'm not sure the splash they'll make on the new team they sign with. But so yesterday, Kevin Garnett revealed his decision to stay in Boston, signing a very fair 3-year, $34 million deal.
Nice.
And he's missed a couple full seasons, right?
Garnett?
Or kind of
Full seasons?
maybe Minnesota, maybe
Oh.
or like early in the season gotten hurt. So he's 17 seasons, but if you went back and looked at some of maybe still 15 seasons is a long time.
I don't know, man. I don't remember him
But
missing a lot of time. I thought the whole deal with him was that he's got so many minutes on his odometer.
Is that what it is?
And that he
Because I remember a couple
hasn't
years
taken
ago,
a lot of time off.
a couple years ago they were saying that he could probably play 4 or 5 more years because he's had a couple seasons where he only played like the first half or something. But maybe I'm wrong. But he looks fit enough, and he's played so well in the playoffs. This 3-year, $34 million deal seems about right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking up his stats.
Right.
Here. 98-99, he only played 47 games, but that was a strike season.
Right.
So
Which
that
is
was
more
50-game
recently,
season.
say like since he's with the Celtics.
08-09, he played 57 games.
Okay.
07-08, 71. 09-10, 69.
So no real.
10-11, 71.
Okay. So no real.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what they were talking about.
No lengthy. Yeah.
And I guess they had their stint in Minnesota not making playoffs a lot. So
Yeah, he had 6 straight seasons in Minnesota where he played 81 or more games.
right. No, I knew when he was young, he was on the court.
all the time.
But he's like I said, he was great in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
I think that's a great deal for them and for him.
Yeah.
And if they can they don't exactly need Ray Allen back, but it'd be nice. And then they get the kid back, Bradley, from injury.
Yeah.
And they've got some decent draft picks, in my opinion.
Yeah,
They just got better with Garnett coming back
they did.
because he seems like a guy who would work with the young guys.
Yeah.
And other news in the NBA, Howard requests trade to Brooklyn. Is this guy ever going to stop crying? I mean, at this point, the fans, the GM's new, so it's new to him. So he's going to wait, and rightfully so, and field offers. But
Right.
and I guess if Darren Williams is up in Brooklyn, this makes a lot more sense. If he doesn't, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure matters to this guy anymore.
I mean, in part, obviously he's been wonking about this, situation for a while, but when teams like the Rockets make it known that they're gonna, get all these players and package everything just so they can get Dwight Howard, for a season, it kind of emboldens him, I guess.
Right.
He's like, oh, I really am this valuable, therefore I can dictate where I'm gonna go.
Right.
So yeah.
I don't know.
wearing
He's
thin.
the best center in the league, and probably a top 10 player, but.
Yeah. No, he definitely is.
But if it comes with this baggage, is it worth it? So, and that's what we'll find out. That Brooklyn, the former New Jersey, has nothing to offer.
Yeah.
I mean, first round picks maybe, but if he and Darren Williams go there, where's that pick going to be?
Right.
Middle of the pack or higher. Because in the East, it's Miami, Boston, Rose is out, and now it would be a Darren Williams and Dwight Howard Nets team probably.
Yeah.
So we'll see. When will the crying ever end? And hopefully soon. And a couple other deals offered but not signed, just thrown out there. Steve Nash today met with Toronto in New York, where he has a home. Met with Toronto. They offered him a 3-year, $34 million deal to go back home. I still don't see him signing there, but it's decent money for a 38-year-old, or however old he is.
Yeah.
But
Don't they already have a decent point guard in Calderon, or did they lose him?
I mean, maybe you don't want him to log all the minutes. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They want him as a they want to fill the seats.
Yeah.
You bring the Golden Boy back home.
Yeah, and nobody ever wants to sign with Toronto anyway. So.
No, I think it's more realistic, even without D'Antoni in New York. I think the Knicks can't offer him a lot, but they can offer him a championship, a conference championship, maybe with his addition built roster.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's been offered. I don't think it'll get signed. Also, Hibbert was offered the max by the Blazers. Makes sense for the Trailblazers, but makes more sense the Pacers will match that. He is restricted.
Yeah.
So they can pay him more than what the Blazers did because Larry Bird rule.
Yep. Ironically.
And also, news is now coming out in the not so happy valley that they may get the athletic program, not just the football team, because it's the president, it's the athletic director, it's who oversee the whole university.
Yeah.
have been in this cover up. They're now starting to uncover the cover up, and they've had a file on Sandusky since '92, and they've got an email trail between all these people, just a big cover up. They're just starting now that the Sandusky thing is over to now focus on the university. And it could get ugly. And it's a shame because these athletes that are there now, well, I guess they just won't go there now. But they'll get penalized to a certain extent. But I guess if you kill it, there's nothing. You don't have any sports, right?
Death penalty?
Yeah.
I mean...
you don't play at all. Anything.
I'm
certainly football.
I'm trying to remember how it worked with SMU.
They didn't have a team.
I thought they still played,
no,
but they were ineligible for everything.
I think they didn't play,
and they basically lost all their scholarships. Right. So it was like field a team of walk-ons.
Oh, really? That's just sad.
Which is pointless,
right?
Yeah. So has anyone actually mentioned the term death penalty as far as this goes?
Yeah, that's what obviously a lot of the media people are saying.
Yeah,
based on the news that has been released. That the president and athletic director, president of the university and the athletic director, had a file since 1992 on Jerry Sandusky and the incidences that they knew of. It's why it's the creepiest place in America.
Yeah.
At this point, that's what it seems like. That's why I call it the not so happy valley. What a happy valley. What an unfitting name as ever at this point.
Obviously, pretty disturbing. If this was happening and going on.
And they just looked the other way.
What I have heard though from the SMU death penalty, and that was just the football program.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
I've heard that death penalty will never be dished out again.
Okay.
Because it hurt so many more people
that weren't involved
for so much longer.
Exactly.
It was like SMU couldn't recruit.
Well, I don't like. Yeah. There's no real
recently.
Way, right. There's no real way to dish out this punishment because the people that committed the crime aren't there anymore.
Right.
That's with any NCAA handed down.
Yeah.
It's just violation, punishment.
But I don't know what was actually going on, so I don't know what.
This is the first time we've
too
really
harsh of a punishment,
right?
But,
This is the first time we've really talked about the Sandusky stuff with the earlier thing, 51-second segment in this, because I haven't read any of the stuff. It doesn't appeal to me at all. But this is interesting as far as how deep this cover up might have entailed.
Yeah.
And baseball news, Kevin. The All-Star lineups were released for the 83rd All-Star game, and it will be played in Kansas City, I think for the third time. And just some quick hits on that. The lone Astro is second baseman, Jose Altuve. No surprise there. He's had a pretty solid year.
Yeah, he's been
the most consistent Astro, if that says anything. There are a lot of usual suspects, some new faces, but for me, the most interesting thing, it hasn't even been decided yet. The most interesting roster spot hasn't been decided yet. But that final 34th, where fans vote, I guess, through this week or maybe through Wednesday or something.
I think they have a while to do it. Yeah.
Because the game's a week from Tuesday.
Oh, that's true. So yeah, probably a week.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the final 34th in the AL. It's all pitchers. But more interestingly, that's pretty interesting. But more interestingly for me in the NL, it's 5 players, but the 2 that will be 1 and 2 when it's all said and done are Chipper Jones and Bryce Harper. It's a swan song for Chipper, but Bryce Harper is one of the best players in baseball for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised why he wasn't voted in by the fans. It's not like he wasn't talked about in the news.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Usual suspects.
He'll get in the game regardless because,
Injuries.
There are injuries.
Yeah.
Guys are getting voted in like Matt Kemp of the Dodgers.
Yeah, he won't play. He wants to do the home run derby, though, I heard.
He does.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder what the team thinks of that.
Right. I don't think they've ruled on it. But.
Yeah. He'll get in the game.
Yeah.
I would vote for him over Jones.
I know, but Chipper, that was really cool when Ripken, his final game, hit the home run leading off.
Yeah.
How about that knowledge, Kevin? I didn't think I had that.
And for that reason, that was nice. I'm reeling. They'll probably both get it.
It was 0-1, too.
Yeah.
Boom.
But
well, I got to carry the All-Star game talk next week without you, so
I
got to start learning.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, some people are saying, "Oh, Harper's going to have a lot of All-Star games."
I agree.
To Jones,
I agree, but if he's worthy, but Chipper is too.
Yeah, he is.
So I think both of these guys probably should have been voted in.
Yeah.
So that's intriguing. We'll track those votes going throughout the week. Mm-hmm. And then, lastly, on baseball, Carlos Lee, who was on the fence during the week about a trade to the Dodgers, yesterday came out and said he was not going to waive his no trade. Now he's wavering again. Mm-hmm. So I think it's
wavering
best
on the waving.
Wavering on the waving, the no trade clause. I think it's best for himself and the Astros, not so much for the Dodgers, if he does waive his no trade.
Yeah,
because the Dodgers probably have some prospects, right?
Oh yeah,
give me one and give me anything.
Everybody's got prospects.
Except the Astros.
Well, yeah, you're seeing them out on the field today,
right? Yes, they're now the team.
Yes, I don't know if that was contractual or if that's just the 10-5 rule in baseball. Basically, if you've played 10 or more years, the last 5 with your current team, then you can veto any trade.
Okay,
that's probably what it is.
Yeah, if not,
he's been with the Astros
with the deal he got
years.
That they traded for or whatever they paid him.
Mm-hmm. Too much.
His agent probably put that in too.
Yeah,
so,
right.
He
probably had the right to veto before he reached 5 years experience with the team.
Yeah, the magnitude of that deal.
Yeah.
And then final 2 things real quick. Wimbledon, I know not everybody watches that. I kind of watch it here and there. They entered their final week, which is their Sweet 16. I think the only real surprise thus far, and it's a big one, was Rafael Nadal going out in the first round. Yeah. And other than that,
Federer got taken to 5 sets.
He did, but still
by a better player though,
right?
Like somebody in the 20s,
right? So he's still around.
Yeah.
Andy Murray starts tomorrow morning. He's the UK, their kid. He's never won, but neither did Henman before him. So
right,
so it's a lot of pressure. And Baghdadis has him. Murray won the first set, but I think Baghdadis won the second. So I think they start tomorrow, even 1 set apiece.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of rough to see. The English
fans. They have Henman Hill, and they let him on the second Saturday, whatever Saturday. They let him all sit. So there's another 5,000 plus fans that get to oversee the match.
Yeah.
So it's intense because he's from Scotland.
Okay.
So all the Scottish come in.
Close enough. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they could. Yeah.
They bring their kegs of beer with them.
They interviewed this woman yesterday before his match, and she starts talking, and the poor woman interviewing her former tennis player. We couldn't understand a word she said.
because she was Scottish?
Well, the woman's like, they speak English in Scotland, right? She said, no, we speak Scottish. I mean, bits and pieces of it were English, right? Bits and pieces of it were English, but this woman was like, okay, wrap it up. We have no idea what you're saying. And at the end, she's like, did y'all catch any of that? So that was funny. And speaking of Nadal, he was actually present for the Euro Cup final, which makes sense. I think he's Spanish, from Spain.
Nadal,
yeah. And Spain actually won. That's their third major cup victory in a row, which is the first time.
So that's 2 Euros
in team history.
And a World Cup
all in a row. Okay. That's never happened. And they in Italy going into this were lifetime in these cup matches versus Spain 3-0-4. So they're now 3-1-4, and that's a big one because it made Spain. Now that team is being talked about as the best team ever. And this is David Villa injured.
Yeah.
So that's big.
Best team ever.
David Villa. That's it's big time talk.
That's rarefied air.
It is.
I'm thinking about Brazil.
Right. And but just think if David Villa plays. I mean, we saw him last year in 2 years ago in World Cup. Yeah. He was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
So that's a new segment. Just quick hits. We'll have more time, I think, going forward with that. I knew we'd go long in the draft, and once we get started on NFL.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it for this week. Like I said, next week our topics will include. We'll start our divisional talk, starting with the AFC West. We'll do a bit of talking about the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, a little bit of the Home Run Derby, and then the actual rosters in the game. And we'll be a weekend to free agency. I'm sure a lot more deals will have been verbally agreed to. There was, I think, a 4-year, $40 million deal to Jared Wallace to the Nets. So that's another piece that, along with Darren Williams and Dwight Howard, would make for a very decent team as far as starting. They don't have much via the bench, but anything pop up?
Just one current note: Tiger Woods.
Did he win?
He won.
Another,
the
not a major, though.
Whatever. Not a major, but for his sake, I like seeing him playing some of these non-major.
Makes it
tournaments.
must-see TV.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, for the health of the sport, but
right.
Kind of needs to hone his game.
That's cool.
A little more, and but I guess he
Tiger Woods' wife, the Virgil. He doesn't even talk about Tiger Woods. He talks about his wife, and it's ex-wife.
Yeah, but he's now second on the all-time win list.
But he's well behind, PGA. Right?
He's let's see,
his majors he's tied.
He passed Nicklaus in total wins. This is 74.
All right, I knew it.
The all-time record is 82 by Sam Snead. So Woods could certainly make that.
Majors, he's
4
behind.
Four
right?
behind Nicklaus.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 to 14.
Oh, I knew that.
Which could take some work.
Yes, he needs to win one first.
Yeah.
So that's anytime he's winning, people are watching. So that's very good for the sport.
Yep.
And as I've said, and y'all haven't done, send questions in or topic ideas to the page. Again, we're at Facebook. Search Jonesin on a Whim. But if you listen to this, you probably know that already. Even on the YouTube, if you like the show, comment about it. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. React at all. So we know that we're doing this for somebody.
Hello, is this thing
right.
on?
It won't discourage us because we're going to sit here and talk on Sundays regardless.
Oh no, there will be podcasts.
If there's any kind of positive or negative feedback, please feel free. I know they run long, but who cares? It's skip ahead or
damn straight.
Whatever. But we're right at a little bit over 2 hours again, but it's kind of where we land. So send the questions, send the topics, like it if you like it. If not, dislike it and tell us why. And it'll be, if it's length, we understand. But that's it for this week. I mentioned earlier, it was last Monday was 3 years since Michael Jackson. I mean, you view him as you want. He's king of pop for me. Great music of my childhood, and I still listen to his music now. I still say he's innocent, but that's me and the rest of the African American community.
The rest of the African American
community. And the African American community. I'm representing art today. So now I did have a good state of the art, but I will use that for next week. But that's it. We're signing off from North Estate Studios. Another one in the books, number 8, getting close to number 10. So
gonna start using Roman numerals.
Yes, podcast Ocho in the books. So that's it for us. Hope you'll have a great week, and good night, y'all.